Hey everybody, welcome to Goots' Disney Pod. We were supposed to be doing Muppets from 2011 today with Lindsay Thiessen, but she can't do it until next week, and she told me at the last second. So instead, we're going to replay the two Frozen episodes. That's right, it's a Frozen Megasode to end up in May. Next week, though, we'll be doing the Muppets 2011 and then Muppets Most Wanted really quick. I just watched the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I liked it. Ewan McGregor's great. The girl they got for Princess Leia is fantastic. Like, wow, she's really fucking good. And I'll tell you who fucking stinks is the main Inquisitor. Look, I'm all about diversity and I'm all about like fucking, you know, letting people see themselves in movie roles. That's why we do diversity. So like people can grow up and like, oh, that's me up there, you know? But man, this actress is bad. She's not intimidating. She she's just there's a scene where she's like yelling at Uncle Baru, Uncle Owen, and she's like, Toby! And I just want to smack her, but like, shut up. Shut the fuck up. You don't have an ounce of toughness in you. And like this is like the main bad guy. She like kills the Grand Inquisitor, but he's supposed to be in Rebels. And then she fucking knows that Anakin's Darth Vader when it's this big secret, but she just knows it and she's just yelling it. And I don't know, man. She's really bad. Like she's really, really bad. I don't like. She's so bad. I don't understand why Obi-Wan didn't just come out and like fucking jam a lightsaber up her butt. Like she just seems to be like no threat. They have her like running on walls too, and you can tell it's not. It's just everything about her is horrendous. Just horrendous, but everything else is really good. Even the guy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers was great as the kidnapper. Yeah, everything else is great, but I just don't understand. I don't understand why they thought. Sometimes I think they do this on purpose. Like they cast like black or Latino or Asian actors, like really, they just find the worst ones so that when you criticize it, they can just yell, "Well, you Star Wars fans are racist." So because the Rose chick in Last Jedi was also horrible. And every time somebody talked about it, you were basically put on a watch list for being a member of the clan. But she was bad too. So I don't know what you want. What do you want? What do you want me to say? Like, there's good actresses out there, and there's roles I'm sure this actress would be good for. Just not this. Just not being like Obi-Wan Kenobi's mortal enemy. She's terrible. She looks like she should be like running a bakery. Like I don't know what to tell you. And she just when she makes these faces like she's supposed to be tough, she looks like she's having a fit. Like she needs to speak to the manager. I don't understand how she has such white woman Karen energy, this black actress, but she does. She's just not good. She looks like she should be running a gallery somewhere, and she's not. Like I don't understand like why you would cast this person. I and then everyone who criticizes her is going to be called just a big piece of shit. So I guess I'm a big piece of shit. But other than that, the show's good. But yeah, we're gonna have two Frozen episodes. So Remy Casimir was the first guest, and just a quick update on her. She's doing great. I saw her at the comic strip on Monday with her boyfriend Ben DeMarco, and they were kicked ass on the show. And Jess Feeney is the guest for Frozen 2. And I think she's doing okay. I haven't seen her in a while, but last time I saw her, it's a tiny cupboard, and she was doing great. So that was months ago. So I'm assuming nothing has changed. Hopefully nothing has changed. Hopefully she didn't go through anything traumatic the last 3 months. But yeah. So Frozen's big. Why not do a best of Frozen? Here you go. There's gonna be some outdated plugs and stuff, but enjoy Frozen 1 and then Frozen 2. Thanks, guys. Welcome to the to Goots' Disney Pod, and I am your host Ray Goots. And this is a big day. It's year 2 of the podcast, and for the first episode, we are doing Frozen. And my guest today is Remy Casimir. Casimir, right?
Casimir.
Casimir. Remy Casimir. Sorry, I've known you for
It's
like
okay.
100 years. I should know.
Everybody still gets it wrong. It's great.
Yeah.
It just means I don't get enough stage time, right?
Yes, that's true. Well, none of us are getting enough stage time.
Yeah.
Did we meet before I was warned about you, or after I was warned about you? I can't remember.
Before you were warned about me.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we were friends, and then you got warned about me because you were going to have me on your show.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
did you ever make up with that person?
I have reached out to that person so many times. I've even apologized to that person on the Jewish holiday Yom Kippur. I used that as an opportunity to be like, I'm so sorry for whatever went down, and like totally like took ownership. And I'm not an apologizer. I am like so fucking stubborn.
Yeah.
So I've tried and I'm still open to it, but I don't know.
That person got real nasty to me.
Oh, really? Yeah, that person I've heard has gotten really nasty to a lot of people. So no love lost.
What is that person? I don't even know what that person's doing right now. I'm sure that person's pretty miserable because there's nothing to book or hold over anyone's head. So.
Somebody recently sent me a sorry about the dog in the background.
Okay. I got my dogs too.
I'm staying at my friend's place in LA, and he actually does have the most adorable little doggy. Hi. Yeah, I'm basically stranded in LA. I've been in Portland for the majority of quarantine. I came here for like a little work thing, and now because of the fires, I can't get back.
Really? They're not flying people out?
Yeah.
That's
all
wild.
the flights into Portland are canceled.
Oh yes, because that's kind of like in the same. Okay.
Yeah.
That's intense. But someone sent you something about her? You were telling me?
Yeah, somebody sent me an Instagram story that they thought was like embarrassing of that person. And they were like, watch this. And then I clicked it and it was their story. And then I was like, oh, now they've seen that I saw it and they think I care about them again. And you know, you like just pissed me off. I was like, don't send me those stories. I don't care.
Yeah, I hate it when like you click on X and you're like, oh, now they see that you know what? The other thing too is if you ever want to annoy somebody, mute them, and then you're not watching stories. There's nothing more. If people want you, people like, oh, I hope they see this. If you don't watch the stories, that hurts people's feelings.
Oh, exactly. They've been muted for years, and like I'm also like so embarrassed that I have apologized so many times. Like I feel like such a loser that it's like I don't want them thinking like I'm watching the story longingly, being like I wish we were still cool. Like I don't care. I mean, I don't like having bad blood. But also,
I have bad blood with this person, and I could give two shits at this point.
Yeah.
They were such a negative person towards the end.
Totally.
Who cares?
Totally. And not funny.
And not funny. And has no sense of what's funny.
And that's the biggest crime.
Yeah, that's the biggest crime. How long have you been doing stand-up, Remy?
Are we counting Corona?
Yes.
Okay, so then I guess I'm like 6 years old now, or maybe 5.
5?
5 or 6. 5, because I started in 2015.
Yeah, because I met you about 4 years ago, because that's when that person started. Yeah. And
that person had started before me. That person discovered me and said, "Oh, you're great."
Started booking things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what made
edit out booking things. We cannot give the satisfaction.
It's okay. I don't think they're booking anything right now except for a table at the local.
Still hilarious.
What made you get into stand-up?
So I've always like been obsessed with stand-up and comedy in general. Like I grew up in New York City, so I was watching SNL like every Saturday since birth, and I always had this like little feeling like all of my friends are hanging out without me. Like I thought like I would really fit in with that group of people, and then I never like pictured that as something I could do for my life, because like I still am a Jewish girl from the Upper East Side, like went to private school. Like it wasn't like the track that your family expected of you. Like everyone was kind of more like money, job driven, or like find a great relationship, or that type of girl stuff.
That's even big here in Queens. It was, it's like if you don't make money to stand up in a year, people are already like, why don't you get into teaching and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, but I loved stand up so much. Like I would watch all the Comedy Central half hours, and I would download them on Kazaa, and I'd watch them over and over and over again and memorize them, and like just like quote with whatever weirdos I could like find in the world who also seemed to like comedy, but like liking comedy even wasn't considered cool. Like one of my best friends who I just actually spent my birthday with out here in LA, I'll never forget, in 9th grade, I'd be like, hey, can we go to the comic strip? Like, I really want to watch a comedy show. And she'd be like, that's fucking weird.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah. So it was like, comedy is weird. We don't do that. And also like the Upper East Side is like a little just like facade to begin with. Like there's not a lot of truth telling. It's just like everyone's pretending to be like hotter and richer than they already are and whatever. And then so in college, I took an acting and comedy class because I was not doing well in school, and I always knew that I could do well in an acting class. It just like came naturally to me. So I signed up for acting and comedy, and one day I got wasted after class with two of my classmates, and one of them was like, "Hey, would you like to do come to my improv practice with me?" And my other friend and I were like, improv, like we've always heard that's crazy, but like we're drunk enough, we'll do it. And I had the best time. I just felt it was like so creative, and everybody got so weird, and we got to do characters and voices and all this stuff. And then I didn't do comedy again until after I graduated. I started this like accessory company. It was like an as seen on TV thing. It was an expandable leather belt loop, like very smart. And I did a Kickstarter campaign to raise the first round of funding. But instead of hiring an actor, I was like, I'll just take improv classes again. And then the feedback was like, the video is so, like the product's good, but like the video and the acting is so fucking funny. And that was like the moment where I kind of felt like I was like being given permission by other people, like publicly, like, you're funny, you can do this, like we believe you. And I had been doing improv, and so I joined like, I was doing like I was on an indie team for a few months where we would just like do monthly shows. And then eventually I was one night I was doing a jam, which I don't know if you've ever done, but in improv there are these nights where you just like put your name in a bucket and then you perform with like 8 random people, and like it's really fun and it's like totally chaotic. And this guy came up to me afterwards, who's my friend now. Do you know TJ Del Reno?
Yes, I know him. Yep.
Yeah. And so he's always like one toe in improv, one toe in stand up. And he came up to me and he goes, "You are really funny. You should do stand up." And I said, I've always kind of thought that, but I didn't know that that was like an option. Like, how do you go about doing that? And he told me about like the mic scene and how to get stage time and all this stuff. And then I kind of like proposed it to my improv team. I was like, I think I'm going to be doing stand-up. And they were like, that's great. You can do 10 minutes at the top of like our monthly shows, which like, if you are a new comic, you understand how much time 10 minutes is. It's like a really great opportunity to like work on whatever it is that you're thinking, like in front of an improv audience, which is especially like generous with their laughter. Cause they were like expecting like chaos. And then if you come with something written and like, yeah. So that's how I started. And, then just started running my own shows in the city.
You were running a show. Was it at, cause I think this place just shut down, the Karma Lounge, or was it near there?
No. So the first show I ever ran that you're thinking of was called Our Famous Friends. And we started it at Rochelle's. Then that person came in and tried to run it with me. Then we split ways. Then we moved to 3 of Cups, which is now closed.
Okay. Yeah. Did that close because of the pandemic or before the pandemic?
No, way before. They also kicked us out. They were like, we don't want to, like, I never really tell anybody that because like, it's kind of embarrassing, but they were like, this show is not like bringing in enough money. Like, even though like we'd have an audience all the time, I guess they weren't a drinking audience. So they kicked us out of the bar. We also got kicked out of Rochelle's for the same reason. Cause they were like, people aren't spending enough $15 drinks, like that's not what they're coming for. They're coming for the free comedy.
Yeah.
And so we got kicked out of both of those because of the money. And then the Stand Comedy Club was like, we like how you produce. And then I started doing Bacon Bits there, which was like a brunch show.
Yeah. And you were doing that up until the end of the world, right?
Until the end of the world. Yeah.
Okay. So that's
I was on the West Coast because I was supposed to do some shows over here, and there was a Bacon Bits scheduled that somebody else was going to host. And that was like the day that they were like, no, restaurants, like it can't happen anymore. And so people were writing me being like, I just bought tickets for Bacon Bits, and I'm writing this down. I'm like, take it down.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And you also, do you still do your podcast? Is it called How Come?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So my podcast, How Come, is in its 3rd season, which is incredible to me because I started it because I had never had an orgasm and I wanted to learn. Hence the name, How Come. And yeah, I basically would have guests on every episode. I still do have guests every episode tell me their first time coming story. That's like a big part because everyone's so different, the ways that they do it and the different ages and all that stuff. And then in the beginning, they also had to give me an assignment that I would have to do for the next week. And spoiler alert, I did it. So now the podcast is like, it's pivoted obviously, and it's more about other people's sexual proclivities and like whatever they think is like weird about them. You were on my podcast.
Yes.
We had an amazing episode that actually, I loved your episode a lot. And I think a lot of other people did too, because a very common question I get is it for guys? And I'm like, of course it's for guys too. Like, of course guys have sexual issues. Like, to think that, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had a lot of fun on your podcast. You know, it's so funny. I did your podcast and Corinne's podcast, and I told that story, and you guys were like really like accepting and cool with it, and you were like very like down to earth and understanding of my situation. I did Keith and the Girl and told the same story, and they were judgmental and nasty.
Really?
Yeah, and because I did that podcast, something I said there got me banned from Caroline's right before.
No.
Yeah. And I never, and everyone was like, oh, Tracy Carranzo, who I love, was like, oh yeah, Keith and the Girl is so understanding and they're so nice. And I went on, they were so fucking nasty to me.
Especially, so I've never done Keith and the Girl. I don't know either of them at all. I know of them. That surprises me though, because I thought they were supposed to be.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought they would be like they were like, they had some weird like predisposition, especially Hemda, because like she started yelling at me like, don't you feel like you really waste your life living your mom? And I'm like, well, I don't live my mom anymore because she's fucking dead, so I guess that's out the window.
Yeah, no, you didn't waste it at all, because like you got so much time with her that now like you're never gonna regret that. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm like, what do you, and then they asked me like, did you and your mom ever fight? And I go, we used to fight about me. Because I remember I used to be the manager of Caroline's. We used to get into fights about that, and I described one of the fights where I'm like, Mom, I'm not making any money in this fucking dump. And Lewis took it that I called the place a dump, and I'm like, no, I'm relaying a story about my past. And then I got
all of comedy is a dump. We start in basements. We are glorified liars. Like,
but you know what? Who even knows if they're gonna go back in business? So it's all good because like. You know.
Listen, I think if you're not banned from at least one club, you're not a real comic, right?
I know, exactly. But they were so judgmental, and you were so understanding and nice. And Corinne was so understanding and nice. And these two fucking, and then I heard about their personal lives after I did the podcast. I'm like, who the fuck are they to judge me that I waited, then didn't want to wait, got a hooker? Like, who the fuck, you know? Anyway. You know.
Yeah, no, and also sex work is like so fucking valid. Like, I said it on your episode, but like, good on you just going to do that and not like just still calling yourself a fucking incel. You know what I mean? Like, so many people can just be like, I'm an incel. And I'm like, no, you called yourself that.
Yeah.
Like, some people just don't fuck.
Yeah.
Yet.
No, once my dad passed away, I was like, I gotta make this happen. So.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I'm glad that you said I was so accepting, because I listened back to my journey, and like, I definitely was so much more judgmental of other people and myself in the beginning. And there are episodes, like, so if anybody's thinking about starting How Come, like in the beginning, you'll be like, oh my God, like that is a very controversial thing to say. And like, how could, you know, and I don't even agree with those things anymore. So yeah, I'm glad. Like, I think I probably would have been like, fucking weirdo staying a virgin for so long, you know, like the easy narrative to fall into that like we've all been kind of steeped in.
Yeah, and like they would like be, well, how come in 2005 you didn't just beg? How come in 2004? I don't know. I don't remember what I was thinking back then. I just like it didn't. I didn't mesh with the girls I wanted to bang back then. That was 2004. Can't go back in time and coach myself what to do. I can only focus on 2020. So
yeah, I also I feel like I got responses like that when I would tell people I wasn't able to come or had never, like I clearly am, but I hadn't yet. They would make me feel like they pitied me, or they like judged me, or they thought I was like a loser, you know, like that they're like, why haven't you? Like, oh, has nobody ever loved you? Oh, has nobody ever tried hard enough for you? Like all of these horrible things that's like, okay, maybe it's just not happened. And maybe the fact of the matter actually is I didn't know that we were really trying to achieve a goal. I didn't think it was important for women to do that. I was like, it doesn't lend anything to having a baby. So like, well, I'll still be like a usable woman because my womb is intact. And also the toy that made it happen didn't exist yet. Like, so, or like maybe the person that you want to fuck doesn't exist yet. Like
exactly. Yeah.
People's timelines are just different.
Yeah. And I've met a lot more girls that are like interested in me now when I'm almost, I'm months away from 40 than I did when I was months away from 30. I can look back and I'd be like, honestly, there was no one in my life when I was like close to 30 I thought I could have sex with, even if I go back in time now with my new confidence. I was
going to say, like, it's definitely because of your confidence, though. I don't think it is a looks-based thing.
Well, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the people that I was surrounded by back then.
Yeah.
People, but I've noticed like people are very judgmental when it comes to this stuff, and it's always like, hey, your experience is your experience, my experience is my experience. You know, like I'm sorry that you met your wife at 15, and I'm still single at 39. It is what it is.
Yeah, no, and it really is. It's tough to like not judge yourself for that, or not judge it. Like, I still have to catch myself sometimes when, I don't know, I wonder about other people's relationships, or I wonder why, like, I don't know, there was a family member of mine who like hadn't had sex for a really long time, and like we'd be like, just do it, you know, and that like my thinking has obviously completely changed.
Yeah. Well, I'm more like I'm more like just do it, but also still has to be the right person. I'm not just gonna go to some bar. Especially
That's
COVID.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, it doesn't need to be as big of a deal as like I always thought you literally had to like wait for a guy to come along. Like we're gonna talk about Disney, and like I was very into like the Disney narrative of like your prince is going to come, and then life is going to be good. You know, and like I used to be so focused on trying to make myself into this person that like other people would like, instead of now I feel like I'm still working on focusing on being the type of person that I like.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And like we have new merch actually for How Come that's like flipping the script on Disney, because
really?
Yeah,
I think you wore that. Was that your shirt that you wore on your birthday? Because you wore a Disney shirt.
Yeah. And so it says, "Someday my prince will come, but first I will."
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I like that a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. So everyone, if you listen to this podcast, give the link at the end. And
How Come Podcast, baby. HowComePodcast.com.
Do you think they allow you to wear that at Disney World, or do they arrest you?
I don't know. I've loved wearing my merch at home because like you're not getting eyes from anyone, and it's just like the perfect stuff to post, but like walking around on the street with like cum on your shirt.
Well, I'm even like, I'll see sometimes comics will post and they'll be wearing like merch of a club, and I could never wear merch of a club. I don't know. I just always would feel like a total. I'd rather wear like a Star Trek shirt than merch of a club, and I hate Star Trek.
You can only wear merch from club if like it was free from like a party that you attended there.
And the club uses you regularly, very regularly.
The club uses you regularly, or you're like a manager, or like you work there.
See, I even feel like working there, you're like a big nerd. Like, oh, it's my day off and I'm wearing my work shirt. You know, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
But since we talked about the Disney shirt, how was your child? I think you already kind of touched this, but how was your childhood? You grew up in New York City.
Yep.
Were you big into cartoons and Disney movies and shit?
Huge. Okay. And I also, I'm still trying to figure this out, whether I am an inherently girly girl or whether it was like thrust upon me. But I'm the first girl in my family after two boys. So my parents were like really stoked on like a little girl. And like, I was just given like all the Disney movies, like dressed up like a little princess, you know, like, very, very girly girl. And I wasn't allowed to watch like a lot of other TV shows.
You're mainly just Disney stuff?
Yeah, like Disney and show tunes, like, and not like as like my brothers weren't really like allowed to watch like MTV or anything like with profanity or nudity or like anything too adult, like or even anything like too current. Like we were always just kind of out of the loop, except with like Disney and
Pixar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What were some of your favorites as a kid?
Definitely The Little Mermaid, definitely Cinderella, definitely Beauty and the Beast. I used to sing Beauty in the Sink. I thought that was very clever. I don't know why. Love Hercules. Like,
okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
So much. The music in that one is like, never liked Sound of Music.
No, I don't like that. My mom liked that. I could never get into it.
I tried to watch it again the other day because it was like on Netflix or it was on Disney Plus, and I was like, okay, everybody likes this, and she's just so annoying.
Yeah, and did they get killed at the end, or am I imagining that? They escaped the Nazis, right? But they're running from the Nazis, right?
I couldn't get through. I didn't finish it because like Liesel's just singing about like submitting to a man because he's a year older.
Yeah, it was always like I would have it on, and then like the Nazis would show up, and I'd be like, "Isn't this supposed to be a happy movie? Like, I don't understand what's going on with this fucking film." And like, I never really got into it. I couldn't get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck that movie. I also never liked Mary Poppins. Like, I just never.
I'm not into that.
Yeah, so maybe just the animated ones. Tarzan, amazing. Aristocats, deep cut but fantastic. Like, I didn't realize how few people have actually seen Aristocats.
Hardly anyone. When I asked Liz Mealy, I don't think she'd ever heard of it. She loves cats.
It's so good. We also have an Aristocat sweatshirt.
Oh, you do? Oh, wow. So
it says it's called a pussy because it cleans itself.
Have you seen Fox and the Hound?
No.
That's a good one. That is the deepest cut that no one talks about.
I haven't seen Fox and the Hound. I've only seen Rescuers, I think, like in a cursory way. I haven't seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, that's the best one.
I know, but it used to really scare me. So I don't think I've ever finished it, and maybe I should do that today. Actually,
that's like to me that's the original Avengers because it's Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Daffy Duck.
Yes,
it's like all those characters. When I was a little kid and I was big into those old cartoons, and I didn't know what the movie was about, and when Daffy Duck and Donald Duck started interacting, I'm like, you've got to be shitting me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this
so
is huge.
Cool.
Why hasn't the president been alerted of this? Like, it was, you know?
Yeah.
I love that movie. That movie's. I don't know why they never made a sequel. I think now you can because there's so many new cartoon characters and Disney owns all of them.
Yeah.
That you could do.
That's the next cash grab, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They should definitely do that.
Especially now, like the fact that, like, nope, we can't film anything live action anymore. So because we can't go out, but so make more cartoons.
Exactly.
Now, had you seen Frozen before I asked you to do this podcast?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And are you
Frozen holds a very big place in my heart.
Oh, why is that?
Because it is a movie about sister love, and I have a little sister, and she's like my right-hand man. You met her on the podcast. She used to produce it. Now she's.
Do you still live together?
We never lived together.
Oh, I thought you lived together that day. I'm sorry.
No. That was her place. I lived with my grandmother.
That's right, you did.
Yeah.
You did live with your grandmother. Okay, now I'm remembering things.
Yeah, that's why you guys couldn't come to my place because boys weren't allowed. But
okay, yes, that's true.
Just like you, my grandmother who I lived with has now passed, and
sorry about that.
But I don't regret any of the time that we lived together.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though people said it was weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that Frozen is a sister movie because and it totally flips the script on like a man's not going to save you. It's like, you're going to save you. Like, I love that Love is an Open Door is like such a great love song. And then it becomes like, he's an evil person. Like that movie gave women trust issues, but like good.
Yeah. They need them. Yeah.
Yeah. Like people need trust issues. Like you can't just think if a guy kisses you while you're sleeping, that's cool. And now you have your baby, like.
Yeah. Well, the funniest thing is like up until this movie, the longest love story Disney film was Beauty and the Beast. And if you time that movie out, they're really only together for like 5 days.
Whoa.
Before they decide to be together. Like people think they're together for months. but it's really only like because if you time the amount of time it takes the father gets back to the village. Gaston and him have a meeting. Gaston decides to go get the beast. It's really only 3 days or something.
So the passage of time, like, because they make it seem a little longer, like with the seasons, and it turns like snow, and
yeah, it's only 5 days.
Okay.
So that's like, and that's the longest love story, and that's like the longest, deepest love story. I think everyone else just lay eyes on each other, like he's the one, and they're proven right.
Tarzan and Jane?
Oh yeah, they're together for a while. I mean, they're talking for a while. That's true, but they don't dislike each other. The cool thing about Beauty and the Beast is they don't like each other, and they learn to like each other, which is like I think a nice story to tell.
Stockholm
kids.
syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she exactly Stockholm syndrome.
He kidnapped her. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. But like Little Mermaid, she literally like almost gets her dad killed to fuck Eric.
Legit.
Yeah.
And I think I grew up thinking that was acceptable.
That was acceptable.
Like,
I have to kill everyone.
I gotta go fuck that guy. Kill my dad.
Yeah. And she was
You can't take care of me forever. You're next, buddy.
Yeah. No, I know. It's fucking intense. And the same thing with like Cinderella. The prince sees her and goes like, whoever fits. Like, what if before they got to Cinderella, that shoe fit like some pig? Was he just gonna marry this pig?
Yeah, like how do you know that some other lady's not a 7.5? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't get it.
But yeah, that's what you're sold, is that like love is instant.
Mm-hmm.
And with Frozen, it's like, yeah, okay, the love that you thought was instant is actually like he's a fraud.
He's an abuser, yeah.
He's abusive. And yeah, she ends up with Kristoff, who like helps her and makes this journey and also doesn't have money. The financial structure is different in this one. Usually it's the guy who's the prince or the
usually the girl is poor and then she meets a rich guy. And this one the guy's poor and the girls have money,
and she's like, baby, I'll buy you a new sleigh.
No, I liked their relationship, the two of them. It's funny because when I first saw the movie I couldn't tell the difference between the two of the guys, and I'm like, which, because they look like the same. I'm like, is this the same guy? He's just dressed differently. Like
what?
When I first
one of them is blonde and has a larger nose.
I know, but have you noticed all the male characters in these new movies have like the same nose? Have you noticed that? Like the women look different, but the guys all kind of have like the same face.
Them do have different noses and faces. I don't know, man.
I don't know. Every guy, like even the guy in How to Train Your Dragon, has a very similar nose to these people.
Love How to Train Your Dragon. I think that dragon looks like my cat.
Oh yeah, well I like the dragon. The dragon is awesome, but I'm just talking about like men look very similar in these films, in these new films.
Yeah.
This movie, I don't think people understand. Like when I did research podcast, how huge this movie is, or was, or still is to this fucking day. This really changed everything. I think they were making a lot of weird movies. Like I'm doing this podcast with people, and I'm picking movies like Home on the Range and other movies, and the comics I have on are like, are you sure this is Disney? Like, what is this movie that we're reviewing?
Yeah.
And then we get to this movie, Frozen, and they just, every now and then, they have to go back to the princess formula. But this one, they just really were able to reinvent it. With what you said, like, the guy being an asshole, and Anna being proven that she's an idiot for just falling in love with the first guy she meets. And I thought, and the whole thing that's a story about sisters, I thought was really cool because in the original story, Elsa stays evil. And I think some guy turns her around. Elsa goes full evil.
What? There is an original story?
I mean, I'm sorry, the original script.
Okay.
Elsa just goes full evil. She tries to kill Anna at her wedding, and then some guy shows up and kisses Elsa, and she becomes good again. And they couldn't make it work because like they have Elsa like becoming like Darth Vader basically, and finally like they brought a woman on board, and she was like, "What if this is about the two sisters, not about these guys?" Yeah.
Also, Elsa's got a lot of gay undertones, which we love. I think of her as like the first lesbian Disney princess.
Yeah, she doesn't really look at any of the guys. She has no time for the guys. Yeah.
Nope. And she does if you've seen Frozen 2, there's like a moment with like her and this other girl from that little magic tribe.
Did you like Frozen 2?
No, it was
I
a
did
real
not.
sleeper.
I did not like it either.
I was in Hawaii when I saw it. I made Ben watch Frozen 1, my boyfriend, because I was like, we need to see Frozen 2. Because I was like, it's out, we're going.
Mm-hmm.
So he watched it, and then right after I was like, okay, let's go. Like back to back.
Yeah.
And we went, and I fucking fell asleep in the theater.
It's so funny because like this movie, these two sisters go through everything to get back to each other and to restore their relationship. And then Frozen 2 starts, and Elsa still seems miserable. Like, did you have any fun with your sister? Do you actually like your sister? Like, the whole movie is this journey of these two women reconnecting, and they don't seem to enjoy each other.
Well, they can't fully enjoy each other because Elsa hasn't fully accepted herself yet.
Okay, yeah, I think that's
she's still living and like coming out as a process, like we know this, and like especially probably coming out to your sister. Like that's how I seen Frozen 2. It's like the first one is like, okay, we know who I am. Mm-hmm. And the second one is like, okay, I don't want to like live in your heteronormative castle anymore. I need to go live in my own castle, and we can still totally have our great relationship, and we're totally both independent women now. But we don't need to be like codependent because like we both have our own like paths.
Yeah, they have their own lives. But the backstory got so confusing. I mean,
very confusing.
It made me feel like I was watching Game of Thrones, but I didn't see any, like I was in the middle of season 7 of Game of Thrones or something. Like, why is this back? Are kids getting this? Because I don't fucking get what they're going for.
When you said Elsa went full evil in the original, I was thinking Daenerys, because like that's literally what happens. Is like our savior goes full evil. And I was going to say, if they watched Game of Thrones, they know that did not go well. But no, Frozen came out way before. Yeah. But I was going to say also. Oh, sorry.
No, they originally like, what if the princess becomes the villain? That was kind of the hook. Like the princess goes bad in this movie. And then like it was just like, and they had her turn all dark and stuff, and then it was a guy like, I love you, Elsa. Oh, okay, I have dick now. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But then they were like, let's make it about the sisters, and then they added the song "Let It Go," which that was supposed to be originally supposed to be like this big "I'm a bad guy now" song, and instead it's more about I accept who the fuck I am, and fuck all of you who don't believe in me, which it's such a great song. I think it's
that's so cool. It could literally manifest itself in either way.
Yeah. Well, originally, like Disney had the idea, like this is her "I'm evil" song.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, let's make it more about empowering a woman being empowered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so that's interesting that you say that, because I was going to say the second reason why, besides the sister aspect and the love aspect, the third reason why this movie is so important to me is I watched it like the day after my first breakup, like my first serious breakup. Mm-hmm. Was like a 2.5-year relationship, and it was something very toxic for me and really hard to get out of, because I really felt like, I thought I found like a Prince Charming. I found somebody who was going to like support me and like marry me and, like do the things that like I had really thought for my life. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't like nice enough to me. So, and I didn't think that was a valid reason to break up with somebody, because I was like, you never see the prince being nice. So I broke up with him, and then like I think the next day went to go see Frozen with 2 of my friends and 2 of our shared friends. Mm-hmm. But like anytime I was feeling sad, I would literally just listen to like "Let It Go, Let It Go."
Yeah. I to get ready for this podcast, I watched all these movies in a row, and I got up to this movie right around the time the pandemic started, and I was feeling down about stand-up, and then when that song comes on, it's like, it made me feel like, you know what, even though everything's gone and there's no more stand-up, we can start a whole new scene. We can start it. To me, like people get nervous that comedy clubs are going to shut down, and I'm like, look, let's say all the clubs shut down in New York City. Let's just say they all shut down. That's not the end of stand-up. That's not going to be like, oh, I guess we're not doing stand-up. We can build new places and new spaces to perform, whether it's improv or stand-up. And that's kind of when I heard "Let It Go." It's like, yeah, you know what? The world's kind of ending, but we can create a better world. Let it go. You know what I mean? Like when I heard that song.
Have you been doing online shows?
I've been doing my outdoor show here.
Nice.
And I tried a little bit. You know, you were on one I tried. I did a really good one for Eastville last week, and I finally felt good doing online shows.
Yeah, some of them can be really fun. I was doing one. I had my own little
You got an article about it.
I did, yeah. I started doing it at the top of Corona because I was like, oh, we're not going to be performing. That's fucked. And it was really fun for a while. And then, yeah, I don't know. This like COVID depression, I guess, hit me late. And now I'm just like not feeling very funny.
Okay. So it's hitting you now rather than early? Because a lot of people got it hit early.
Yeah. No, because I was in a different place. I was like at my boyfriend's parents' house. Like I was more navigating like our relationships than like thinking, and obviously thinking about the world as well. But like, I think people whose like everyday lives changed in their normal settings were probably more affected.
Well, you know, now it's kind of it's getting depressing now because it's September and it's still not really cured, and people are just pretending it's cured.
Yep.
Like I finally went out to dinner on Saturday with the comedians on my show, and I was enjoying it. And then one of the comedians just yelled like, "Everything's back to normal," and I was like, "It really isn't. Like, you know, we're doing comedy outside to be safe, and I'm eating dinner because like I trust all you guys, but like, things are not back to normal." Then they went back to the village, and a few of them probably drank and did drugs till they died. But it's like Like I put on like if football has crowds, and I'm like, how is that allowed? Like how?
I don't know.
And like it just I saw an article today that the cases in the Midwest are surging out of control.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
I literally like whatever. I'm like so disappointed in people who are like touring right now. Like,
oh my God, so many comedians I've lost faith in. Yeah.
Like, I know that we need to work on our shit. I know like people need laughter. I know that. But like, I just find it like a little selfish, and like the optics aren't really great. Like maybe our governments aren't being very smart about the virus, but like we also like as people, if we give a fuck, like can like kind of like lead each other. And like, I'm really like upset.
Yeah, like the only reason I'm doing my show is because it's a space I control. Everyone's wearing masks. I can space everybody, and we only have like 7 to 10 people, which is plenty of room to space them out. And I feel but I don't really want to go on the road. I don't want to go to an indoor show in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And I saw Theo Vaughn doing indoor show in Nashville on his Instagram, and it was mobbed. It was like a sold out night at Caroline's, and it's like, you know, that to me that's not cool. It used to be cool back in the day, like, oh wow, you packed it out. But now it's like, that's scary. This feels like the beginning of like World War Z or something. Like, this is weird.
I mean, there's fires all over this coast. Your coast has fucking hurricanes going on right now.
Yes.
And people are like, yeah, no, I deserve to tour. Like, what?
Yeah.
I deserve to film a new hour. And like, I'm not trying to like stop anyone's hustle. I really am not. Like, before the pandemic, sure, I'm a fucking downer. But like, no, like I know people are just trying to do what they need to do to survive. But like, I wish there were like more creative ways. And I do know that the outdoor shows, like a lot of them are socially distanced and like great and stuff.
Yeah, but some comedians just going right back indoors. I mean, they're not. Yeah. They didn't even attempt to go outdoors. And to me, it's like, and some of them, like Nikki Glaser, who's doing a bunch of theaters. You don't need the money, Nikki Glaser. You know.
Is she? I didn't know she was touring.
Yeah, she's touring. Yeah, somebody sent me a thing, and it's all indoors, and I'm like, I mean, come on, you know?
Come on, Nikki.
Yeah, you can never lecture anyone ever again if that's what you're doing. Like, you know.
She's a vegan.
Oh, Jesus.
Vegans are supposed to be good people.
I don't know if that's. No. What's your favorite song? Is it "Let It Go," or is there a better song that's your favorite in this movie?
I love "Love Is an Open Door."
That is a good one. Although it's weird to me because it's being sung by her abuser. I feel like if they did another version where she's singing it with Olav, that would be a lot better.
Olaf? No.
What's his name? Not Olav. What's the poor guy? What's his name? I forget.
You can do it.
Fuck. Hold on. I have the Wikipedia page. I'm the fucking host. I should know this guy's name. It's only the biggest Disney movie ever made. Kristoff. Yeah.
Okay, wait. I'm looking up Frozen songs just to make sure I don't miss it. Oh, God.
I'll tell you
they're
real
all
quick.
so good.
Yeah, they are good. You know
Wait
what?
a second. Okay. Do You Want to Build a Snowman is so cute.
That's a great song. That one I like better than Love is an Open Door.
Yeah.
And the one about everybody coming back in the castle, actually, Anna like kills it. Everyone gives credit to Elsa. Has one song. Anna has like
Elsa
20.
has one song. Anna, yeah. And
Anna like it's just the singing machine.
Anna also, like, if you're a type of person who likes to do voices while singing, like she does like a lot of voices because Kristen Bell is such a funny comedic actress.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just like, do you want to build it? It's like, do you want to build a snowman? You know, like it's like cute shit. And like,
I'll tell you who I can't stand in this movie. There's one character I can't stand, and I don't get how anyone. The snowman, Josh Gad. I can't. It's I kind of feel like he shows up so late into the movie, and he comes across just so like from a different like time. It's like it's right when the movie's getting very serious. All of a sudden, this like little snow guy shows up.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, oh
he's
god.
He's comic relief.
I know, but I hate Josh Gad. I don't think he's funny.
Why?
I just don't like him.
Like him.
Do you like him? Are you a Josh Gad fan?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
love Book of Mormon.
Oh, is he in Book of Mormon, Josh Gad? Is that what they got him? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was like a failed comedian or something.
Maybe.
Okay.
No.
You're like, maybe he could. We all are.
Maybe. I mean, okay. Here's something I've been thinking of lately because, like, it's okay. Like, of course we want to do comedy and stand up forever. It's so great. But like a lot of us aren't destined to be just comedians. Like a lot of us are probably going to be like writers or like actors or like be on Broadway, you know, like that kind of thing. Like it's a great foundation. But I don't think a lot of people are cut out for, even myself included. Like, I don't think.
Well, I think you definitely need to have different interests rather than just on stage at this point nowadays. Because even when you meet with agents or managers, they're always like, well, what do you do? And if it's just like, I do the Grizzly Pear once a week. You know what I mean? Like, what else? And then I sleep. Like, you know.
Who is getting a manager from that?
No one. Not even the Grizzly Pear would like be the manager of the Grizzly Pear with that attitude.
Legit.
But I'm just saying, like, I think we all need that. That's why I'm doing my podcast, and I'm started to really emphasize them during the pandemic. You need to have different interests if you're going to make it anywhere, especially now, because, I mean, when things go back to normal, the big names are going to take all the dates everywhere. You know, like you're going to have to make your name in a different way than touring stand-up wise or just running shows.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
It's very, very depressing. But thank God we have Frozen. Well, so who's your favorite character in this movie?
I guess Elsa.
Yeah. I would say.
Yeah, because I feel like her, so I'm a narcissist.
Really? Oh, narcissist. Okay.
No,
she's very full of herself.
I don't know. I'm saying I just think she's the most like me, and I'm a narcissist, so that's why she's my favorite.
Well, now you said narcissist, I could kind of see being a narcissist. She's kind of like very like, oh, I'm the best, like, you know.
No, she's like a self-loathing.
Oh yeah, she self-loathes, then she like loves herself, and then she
yeah.
My favorite is Anna. I think I like Anna a lot.
Anna,
yes. I forgot they're Norwegian in this movie. So the names are like Anna the son. I was so excited Frozen 2. Yeah, I was so excited Frozen 2 was going to reveal what happens to the parents. I thought they were like going to find their parents.
I know.
And instead it's like, no, your parents just drowned.
No, parents have to be gone in Disney in any hero thing because you have to do it yourself.
I think in Frozen 3, she should come out of the closet, get her parents back, marry a woman, and be like, you know what? My parents want to fucking die for me to find myself. And I'm a goddamn lesbian, and you can go fuck yourself, all you parents.
Totally.
That should be Frozen 3. Her parents are still alive, and she's a lesbian.
Yes.
That's because I don't know. Frozen 2 was just a big. Frozen 2 was like, that's just like, because people used to ask Walt Disney, why don't you make Snow White 2? Why don't you make Cinderella 2? And he's like, where is the story going to go? She found the prince. I said they live happily ever after. If they don't live happily ever after, I'm a fucking liar. So where would this story go? Yeah.
Yeah, because like anytime that there's conflict, yeah, you're inherently saying that it's not always happy.
Yeah, and who
But
wants to see a story where Cinderella and the prince are just like, I don't know, picking out drapes for the castle or something for 2 hours?
we're going to Dubai, like fucking Sex in
Yeah.
the City too.
Yeah. Or so would you recommend that kids watch? Of course you would. Every fucking kid in the world is still watching Frozen to this day. I think.
Do you want to hear the cutest kid story I have for
Yes,
Frozen?
tell me. Yeah.
So, my friend Tim, who I'm staying with in LA, he used to live in New York, and we went to Dunkin' Donuts one day, as you did. And this little kid was like running around, and he went and going, shh, 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 with his like little hands or whatever. And I go, oh, what are you doing, Spider-Man? And he goes, no. And no, his dad goes, no, Frozen.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, because Elsa does that. Yeah. Yeah, they should kind of make her into that's the other thing too in part 3. They make her like a superhero. Like she has to like fight crime or something in the kingdom.
Yeah,
That
she
would
can
be
do
cool.
so much.
There's so much, and they just did the most boring fucking Frozen too. Have you? Let's get dark for a second because Spider-Man reminded me. Like, did you ever see on YouTube? And I think YouTube took them all down. These weird fetish videos with Elsa and Spider-Man that they were.
No.
So there were these videos.
Just like a bunch of white shit being sloshed around.
Well, it would be like Elsa has diarrhea or something, or Spider-Man has the farts. And it would be an actor just like Elsa, and somehow they found 1 million women to do this. And a guy just like Spider-Man, and it would be like Elsa would like poop her pants, and Spider-Man would have to take them off. Or Elsa would like eat a lot of cookies and throw up, and Spider-Man had to clean up the throw up. And like it just got weirder. Elsa was pregnant, and Spider-Man had to deliver the baby. And
what?
They found all these kids watching these videos, and they were. I want to interview, like, this is what I want. If you're an actress who played Elsa in these videos, I want to interview you for this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I want to know where they found you and why you said yes to this. Because at least the Spider-Man actor was covered. Your face is out in the open.
Yeah. Oh, that's fucked.
But there was, like, all these videos. And whenever I would upload a video, because I used to have a web series, they would be in my recommendations. And it was just hundreds upon hundreds of videos of Elsa and Spider-Man doing the weirdest, creepiest shit. No dialogue.
That's weird.
Just like kid music with poop and giving
what
cigarette fetish and all. Like, I don't know if you know, there's a fetish of guys like women smoke. They just like women smoke.
That's cool.
Yeah, Elsa smoking. Every fetish that you could find on the
Elsa and Spider-Man have done.
Elsa and Spider-Man were doing. Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. So I don't know if you ever heard that because I know you have a sex podcast.
No, this is blowing my dick off.
Yeah, well, I blew my dick off. That's why I didn't have sex. I saw Elsa and Spider-Man eating each other's poop on YouTube, and I said, I'm gonna live my mom for another 5 years.
That's it for me. Yeah.
I don't want to. Jesus. Remy. Oh, something. What were we gonna say?
No, I just think it's so funny that they happen to both be in that series, and I was just talking about the two of them.
Talking about the kids. So maybe the kid was watching those Elsa Spider-Man videos.
This kid was so young. He doesn't have that kind of...
Well, that's who they would market towards. If you I'm a video game guy, so I'd watch a video game video, and in my recommendations were all these Elsa Spider-Man videos.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess I'll look them up.
I think they all got taken down. I think they found who it was. It was some guy in India, and they basically arrested him and had Mickey Mouse execute him on the front lawn of the Magic Kingdom.
Good.
For sullying Spider-Man and Elsa's name.
And so they should.
Yeah, but it was like really, and it was going on for a really long time, and I was like, what the fuck? It was just one of those weirdest fucking
That
things.
shit needs to be behind a paywall. Like, you can't have it out in front
Well,
of
they have
children.
it out. I think, I don't know, it was like some type of trap. I don't know. It was like something weird was going on.
All right. Yeah, no, for sure.
It was probably like the pedophile ring that they talk about, Wayfair. Did you ever see that thing?
It's not true.
Not true? Okay. I didn't even look into it. I sent it to Mike Racine because he's big into that stuff. But.
Yeah, no. I looked at it and then I was like horrified, and then a few days later I found it wasn't true.
So are you coming back to New York ever, or are you going to hide out in Portland until the entire West Coast burns down?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I see, here's my problem is my grandmother passed away. I was living in her apartment. And then when COVID happened, I was like, I'm just like gonna pack up all my shit
Mhm.
and like not be there. Well, because I was already in Portland, and I stayed there, and the apartment was like empty, basically. So my brother and his wife are having a baby, and I was like, why don't you guys just move in there? So they're moving in there, but I don't have a place in New York anymore.
Okay, all right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and who knows? Like people are screaming for things to reopen, but who even knows what type of scene there's going to be here? And if people keep saying, "Oh, New York's going to survive, New York's going to survive," but it's like, well, unless they lower the rents or reopen things or do this, that, and the third, how can people feasibly live here? Especially if you're not like
Yeah.
you don't have a ton of money.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's wild to me that there hasn't been a second like spike for you guys.
Yeah, because
But
people are out doing whatever the fuck they want now.
I
so.
heard a theory, I think it was Eaglewitt's theory, that New York already had a first wave in January. We just didn't know about it. And then March was our second wave.
I don't know if it works like that. I
don't
think
know if it works like that.
I think I think we did get it in December or January. We didn't know, but I think from then to like April was the first wave.
Mm.
I think the second wave is going to hit the whole world at once. It's not gonna be like we had a second wave. I just think I think the main thing is we haven't reopened indoor stuff, and a lot of other states did, and that's when everything went up, when the numbers went up. I think the real the real problem, the real way this gets bad is if people go sit down in movie theaters and in restaurants without masks and the bars, and I think that's where those are the super spreaders. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, so.
I agree. Everybody fucking stay in if you can. And also, it's been really interesting to see certain businesses that have pivoted and like done better in this time. So like, I think that there's like a lot of like, oh, it's not going to be like this forever. And like, I'm not a doomsdayer by any sense, but like, if it is going to be like this for the foreseeable future, like, why don't you just try to adapt? Like, just for like a little second, like.
Yeah, instead of like stomping your feet like a child and being like, I want to go back the way it is. It's like.
Therapists could very well say, I don't treat people unless they're in person, because that is the law, or like psychiatrists, you know what I mean? But they're budging because people still need their mental health checked on.
Yeah.
You know, like you fucking fidget just like a little.
Well, I was training on Zoom, my trainer, and I had to like talk with him today because he was pushing me and I was doing it, and now I have like a strained muscle in my back. I can barely move. And I'm like, dude, you can't have me doing things with 50 pounds with one hand if you're not there to hold me. So I did it wrong, and now I can barely walk. And he was like, you're right, I'm sorry. And I'm like, let's just keep it basic until life resumes. So some things you can do on Zoom, some things,
I want a trainer.
That's how I lost all that weight last year. He was a great trainer, but on Zoom it's like he always pushed me, but you can't push me if I'm home alone in my house. You can't push me because if I get injured, what are you going to do? He's halfway across the country.
Life alert.
Life alert. Well, there you go. Now I'm officially an old person.
Yeah,
help! I'm falling,
and I can't get up.
Help me! I watch a lot of the old sitcoms now, and that's old. I see that commercial. They have the commercial on MTV now, which. People always say MTV's catered towards kids, and I'm like, they have
apparently not. Yeah.
Kids aren't watching that channel. They have Life Alert commercials. So.
Oh my God, I can't. This is a stupid thing to even. I can't remember what it was, but there was a commercial. This one channel just had commercials for like a very specific. I have to ask my friend.
Was it if you were a Boy Scout and got abused, call this number? Because those commercials are everywhere.
No.
Okay.
It was something else that was like, if you are this and this has happened to you and also this, but you're thinking this.
Miss mesothelioma? Is that the thing?
No.
Okay.
Mesothelioma, no. And then there's a gynecomastia. You know that one?
Yeah. Well,
there's gynecomastia is?
No, what is that? I've heard it and I ignore it.
Men grow breasts because of.
There's commercials for that?
Yeah, it's like if you have gotten gynecomastia because of like a, I don't know, leak near you, or like one of those big law things where they're like suing a bunch of people.
Well, they put these commercials on too in the weirdest shows. Like I think that commercial you're talking about was like they have it on like Father Knows Best, and I'm just thinking to myself like, who is watching Dennis the Menace or Father Knows Best at 9 a.m? I have these breasts. What am I gonna do? Oh my God! Thank God.
Someone with breasts that like
Yes.
just got them and likes Father Knows Best. I mean,
And the same thing like they have on reruns of like sci-fi shows. They have the if you were a Boy Scout and got molested, call this number. And I'm just like, how did they do the math? Like, okay, if I was a Boy Scout who got molested, didn't tell anybody, what shows
what would
I
I
watch?
watch?
Yeah, 20 years
Yeah.
later, because we've got to get that guy. But it's kind of funny. TV is very. I like the channels that nobody watches because they have the funniest commercials.
Total. Yeah. I'm always like, who do they think I am right
Yeah.
now?
Like I don't like watching a channel like Travel Channel or any of that because those are like commercials for normal people. I like to see the commercials for like the people that the networks consider complete lunatics. Like
Commercials are like the original For You page on TikTok.
Yes,
Do you know what that
yes.
is?
Yes, yeah. Or the Facebook
Like
ads. Yeah.
you learn a little bit more about yourself. You're like, oh, how am I so deep into Draco Malfoy TikTok?
Oh, that's what you're into. Okay.
Dude, my whole For You page, it's because I'm obsessed with Robert Pattinson and I love Harry Potter, but is POVs of girls making scenarios where they're like dating Draco or being rejected by Draco or like they're rejecting Draco. Oh my God, I have to send you them. I sent them to Erica Spira.
Like very strange fetish porn.
Oh, it's so fun. And now Tom Felton, who played Draco, is on TikTok and he's like interacting with some of the Draco talks and they are like freaking out. Like this one girl made one where it's like you see Draco's parents at the Battle of Hogwarts. Sorry for anybody who doesn't know Harry Potter well. But it's like the final battle and like Voldemort and Harry are like fighting and Draco's parents are kind of like, come with us, Draco, or whatever. And then this girl, it like cuts to her and she's like looking up at the Draco and then it cuts to Draco and he's like looking down at her and then it cuts to their hands holding and they like stay still. And then Tom Felton commented on it. This is the ending that should have happened.
Oh, wow.
Or something like that. And then all these girls are now, you won fucking TikTok. You won. You're the main character. You like.
Wow. Did you, have you seen what he looks like lately, Tom Felton?
Yeah. Like a good guy.
He was on The Flash. He was on one season of The Flash because I watched that show. And it was like, this guy has aged really fast. This guy.
He's lived a life.
He's lived yeah. Like, what's his name? Oh, you like Rob President. Did you see the movie The Lighthouse last year?
No. I need to. I heard he jacks off in it.
Oh, I didn't get it. I don't remember that, but it's fucking great. Especially
apparently he did it for real.
Oh, really? Well, he's
on set.
He's very committed. I feel like he wants to become the next DiCaprio. Like he's like all about it.
He needs to be the next Mr. Remy Casimir.
Okay. Well, we'll get on that.
My boyfriend knows about it. It's okay.
It's okay. All right, as long as he's cool with it. Remy, where can people find you on social media? Robert
Pattinson can find me on social media at Remy Casimir, RemyKassimir. How Come Podcast is on all the platforms. It's also on Instagram and Twitter, and so am I. It's How Come Podcast. But if you like search it, it's just How Come in iTunes. How Come Spotify. Spelled HOWCUM. Like the really immature way.
It's a great podcast, guys. You gotta check it out.
Thank you. I also have another podcast. If you like reality TV, specifically the show Love Island, I have a podcast called We Really Love Island, where we recap that show.
Oh, what channel is that on?
It's on CBS.
Oh, it's on CBS? Love Island? I thought that was on an MTV show.
Originally, it was a British show, and now they've made an American version. They've actually made a lot of different versions for countries.
How long has that been on?
The show? 6 years.
Really?
Yeah. It is a fucking cultural phenomenon in the UK, and it's just come over here last year.
And what's it about? What's the island? Is it like Temptation Island where you get to cheat?
No. It's like, I mean, yes, you get to see other people or whatever, but it's basically, okay. You just go listen to the first episode.
Go listen to the podcast.
It's really great. We have like an episode 0 that explains the show. But it's basically like if Bachelor in Paradise was good and also mixed with it airs every single night of the week in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So like they switch out people. Like America can vote out people. The Villa can vote out people. Sometimes they'll send people in. Like if America has like a favorite that they like, they're like, we like Johnny. We want him to have a girlfriend. They'll be like, oh, here's Melissa. And she'll be like, I'm here to date Johnny because we both like World of Warcraft. Something.
Wow, that sounds like this sounds like a fucking battle for love.
It's a really, really good show. And they all have to sleep. They all have to couple up. You have to be coupled up and you sleep in the same bed as your couple and all of the people sleep in the same room. It's just like a room of beds.
Wow, this sounds like an insane show. I can't believe this is on CBS.
It's a very interesting anthropological experiment, I always say.
I just picture CBS being like old people shows and stuff.
No, it's fucking fantastic.
All right. So check out that podcast if you're into Love Island. Guys, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, you like Frozen, you like Remy Casimir. Did I say it right that time?
Casimir, yeah.
Casimir, there you go. Or if you like Love Island or How Come podcast, I've done a podcast about every movie from Snow White up until Frozen. Next week, we're doing Big Hero 6.
Nice.
Yep.
Fa-la-la-la-la-la-la.
Did you like that movie?
Love.
Yeah. And I thought it was going to be a dopey superhero movie. And then when the spoiler alert, the brother died, I was like, oh, this is a deep movie. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Jordan Ferber also lost his brother, which is why I picked him for Big Hero 6. And we're going to talk about that. Yeah. That's next week. And so please subscribe to the podcast, Goots' Disney Pod. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Ray Goots. And Remy, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I forgot to mention Twitter, but I love it.
Yeah, follow her on there. She has some
and TikTok. I fucking love TikTok, you guys. Get on it.
Oh, is that the same name on TikTok? I don't have a TikTok, so I think.
It's just my name, yeah.
Just
you need a TikTok. I'm going to send you so many Draco talks and so many Cedric Diggory talks.
Okay, this sounds very intense.
It's intense.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Frozen podcast. We'll see you next week for Big Hero 6. Everybody, welcome to Goots' Disney Pod. I'm your host, Ray Goots, and we are at the last episode of Season 1. We did all the Disney films. We're at Frozen 2. It was made in the ancient year of 2019, and my guest today is Jess Feeney. Jess, how are you?
I'm doing great. You said you did every Disney movie this season?
Yeah, every Disney animated film. So we started with Snow White.
That's a lot. That's most of them.
Yeah, 59 movies. Or 58. I think this is episode.
Oh.
So every movie made by Walt Disney Animated Studios. So we didn't do the live action stuff, and I didn't do Pixar. We didn't do Marvel or Star Wars. Pixar starts next week with Eagle Wit. He does Toy Story 1. So
yeah, I don't claim any of the live action or any of that stuff as part of my Disney universe anyway. So
yeah, eventually I'll get to that. But yeah, I believe this is the first podcast to achieve this because a lot of people tried this. I checked on Spotify, and like the podcast would just give up around Lilo and Stitch or like around Robin Hood. I went all the way.
Is there something about Robin Hood and or Lilo and Stitch that made them give up? Because those are pretty far apart, right?
Yeah. Maybe they got. I was very surprised after I put the podcast out. I didn't know. Maybe they got horny because there's a huge fan base that's horny for Robin Hood, which I didn't realize until
I am aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was vaguely aware of it as a child. Yeah.
He's a sex symbol, apparently.
They do little weird things with the animation on him where he kind of like he'll do like a little hair toss. Mm-hmm. Or like they definitely squeezed in a lot of sex appeal in how they did.
I found out like the furry movement. You know about the furry movement?
Yeah.
Okay, I found out that started when most of those people as kids saw Robin Hood because that movie came out in 1974 and around 1983 it came out on VHS and was always. I remember that was the one Disney movie that was always in the video store when I was a kid. Cinderella was always out, Pinocchio was always out, but that was always there. So it was never out of circulation. So I feel like all these people who are now my age who have these furry conventions rented that movie, got horny, started the movement, and and now here we are. Yeah. I
would argue that probably started a long line of like sexy Disney animals. Like they didn't just stop there.
Well, this is going off, but Zootopia, they actually before the movie came out, they had an event for furries to show a screening of the movie. Asked them what they thought, and they said, please go to the furry groups. and talk up this movie, which is wild to me that they actually, for a kids movie, they actually courted like a fetish group.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, I think furries now are like more accepted. It's not as like weird as it was like 20 years ago. So like it's more of like it's more out in the open and cool. So it's
Yeah, because I think people understand now that it is a sex thing, but it's a little bit more than just a sex thing. Like they actually like to
express themselves and stuff.
Just be in that thing, just to be in their little outfit and like go out and live life.
Yeah, some of the outfits are really like advanced now. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
They're cute. I want one.
Well, I think we're gonna have to wear the one with the mask and stuff pretty soon. The only people safe are gonna be people in furry suits from COVID.
Yeah. Kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah. But yeah, I did every movie, and I did every movie with a different comedian so I think this is a pretty big accomplishment, both in the comedy scene and in the Disney world. But I don't know.
How well do those two intersect? Like, do you think most comedians are really into Disney, or like they don't?
Most of the comedians I interviewed there were some that were like, oh, I like The Simpsons when I was younger, and that was it. But The Simpsons are now owned by Disney, so they were a Disney kid. So, but they mainly getting Disney fans to listen to this. Not a lot of. I feel like if I got like Dave Attell to talk about a Pinocchio, that would have like made more of a cross section. But
Sure, yeah.
Maybe I can get him to talk about. Maybe I can get him to talk about Coco. I don't know. Down the road. But Jess, let's get to know you a little bit. How long have you been doing stand-up?
6 years.
Okay, cool. And what got you started? How'd you get started?
Well, I used to act, and I did that for a really long time. I was like, I acted all throughout school, and like I started to do a little bit into my college years, and then I realized that I was not very good at it. So I like quit acting, aka I quit doing like community theater in my tiny hometown for no money. And I was really depressed, and I was just like looking for anything to kind of make me feel better. Mm-hmm. So I was watching a lot of stand-up because it's just like cheap serotonin, it's just like jokes, and it just made me feel better. And then after a while I was like, I think I could do it. I feel like, I don't have to be a good actor, but I can still perform. And then not too long after that, I started working in a bar that had stand-up. So
was that the Big Hunt?
Yes, the Big Hunt, in DC.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's the only place I ever performed that in DC. So
yeah, it's cool.
No. I mean,
I liked working there better than I liked performing there.
Oh yeah, I performed there on New Year's Eve 2016 and then 2017.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that was fun.
Yeah, they were very judgmental. I felt like I don't know, it was a weird crowd there.
Yeah, they're not always so big on outsiders.
Yeah, they all worked in like I think they all worked in the Capitol, the people, but they were also kind of like hipstery.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't that many people. And then so did you start doing comedy at the Big Hunt, or?
I mean, well, yeah, kind of. I performed there when I was first starting out. It wasn't the first place I went up. The first place I went up, I don't even think exists anymore. It was called the Beer Baron. And it was like a bar that happened to have a stage, and they did comedy. But now I think they're like exclusively comedy. I don't know what they're called. It's some kind of like the comedy whatever. Mm-hmm. But like back then they were just a bar that happened to have a stage, and now they're like a comedy venue. I don't know what it's called though. Used to be the Beer Baron.
Okay, cool. And when did you move to New York City?
That was February 2017.
Oh, you've been here for a while. Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was right after the election. I remember that.
Okay. And have you? I noticed you needed to download Zoom when I asked you to do this episode. Have you been doing? I know. Well, you have been doing outdoor stand up with my show and stuff. But how has your stand up been going since COVID hit?
It's been bleak. Okay. I've done a couple Zoom shows. I don't know. I don't want to like shit on the medium, but like I just never really got comfortable. I have done some. I don't like it. And I can't, I want so badly to adapt to not hearing laughter after I tell a joke. Like I want so badly to be okay with that. But I just can't get used to it. And I know I'm going to have to because once it gets cold again, we're not going to be able to do stuff outside. So
Yeah.
eventually I'm going to have to bite the bullet or fucking become a YouTuber or something.
Yeah. A streamer or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't done much. I've been doing comedy for 6 years, but it's really like 5.5 because I didn't do it for a whole 6 months this year.
Yeah, it's funny. You're like the second. I almost consider you like a person who I became friends with during COVID because I booked you on my St. Patrick's Day show. We started talking a little bit, and then I was gonna meet you. Here's the craziest thing. You were at my house, and I didn't even realize it. Remember 2 years ago, you went to the
Yeah,
party?
a couple times.
Yeah, with Mike.
I've been to your house a couple times.
Yeah, before we even met, right? I mean, I didn't meet
Well,
you.
we met.
I didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit. And then I booked you on my show here, and now so you're like Amanda Gale's my other person who I met during this whole COVID thing. So it's funny, you're my second COVID friend.
Yeah, I remember that because I was supposed to do your show on March 17th, and New York shut down on March 16th.
Yeah, so I had to do like no show. Sorry,
just missed it.
just missed it.
But
it's okay. I mean, I guess we could have still had the show. We probably just would have gave everybody COVID, but
I don't think you could have at that point.
No, I couldn't.
The 16th was like.
No, I would have got in trouble. But if my neighbors saw anybody walk out of the house, like a big group, they would have called the cop. People were like super paranoid back then.
Oh yeah, it was at your house. Yeah, that is a little different.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't trust anyone right now. So where did you grow up as a kid? What was your childhood like?
I grew up in Woodbridge, Virginia, which is a small town right outside of DC. It's like a DC suburb. Mm-hmm. Pretty poor, small town. Yeah, and I didn't leave my hometown until I was 22.
Oh wow!
So
okay.
I was there for quite long enough.
Well, you seem like very worldly for someone who lived in a small town until 22.
Do I really? I think,
yeah.
I can see how it would come off that way initially, but I think under very little examination, I'm very pure white trash.
Okay.
I just put on a good show.
I feel like a lot of people who who live in a small town until their 20s, like, are very like almost like pushovers or naive or something. And I feel like you stick up for yourself a lot.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, and also I think it is weird that I left when I did, because usually if anybody was going to leave, they would leave like right after, as soon as they got cut loose. Mm-hmm. But I like kicked around there for a while and then got out. And I was one of the lucky few. So thank God.
All your friends are still there?
A lot of them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like, I feel like there's like 5, maybe 10 people that I used to mess with that like made it out. A lot of people went to DC.
Okay.
Fine.
That's right. That's nearby. I forget. Okay, cool. I gotta learn more about.
It's not really leaving the nest, but at least
it's the city.
In Woodbridge. Yeah, exactly.
This is the city and diversity. Some type of diversity.
Something.
And were cartoons, Disney, a big part of your childhood?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up with one older sister, and we were both very like dramatic. Because I was an actress, and she was a singer. So we were very performy. I think we also didn't get a lot of attention from our parents, so like we were always just kind of trying to like get as much attention as we could. Just like, look at me, like just dancing around and doing stuff. So we loved the princesses. We would always watch the movies and be like, I'm her, and we would like compete to, oh, kitty.
It's my cat. My cat sometimes likes to like pay attention to me while I'm doing this. So, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We would always fight over like who we get to be. Mm-hmm. And it'd be like whoever calls it first, like when Ariel comes on the screen, the first person would be like, I'm her, like they get to be Ariel.
Okay.
And then, the other sister would be like, I want to be Ariel. It's like, what are we talking about? No one is Ariel. Like,
yeah. What was the other sister, like one of those 7 sisters that Ariel seemingly didn't care about, or
no?
Who would the other girl be? Flounder?
No, I think my sister would have been like Cinderella.
Okay.
And I would have been like both of the stepsisters. Or like she would have been Ariel, I would have been Ursula.
Okay, all right.
We were kind of like the night and day kind of sister.
Does she have lighter hair than you?
Yeah, she was blonde. She's very pretty. Yeah, she
'cause
was
it
always
is-
kind of like the leading lady, and I was like the villain.
Yeah, because in Disney, unless you're Arabian, if you have darker hair and you're a woman, you're a horrible human being.
You're mean.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
a very mean person. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Except for Jasmine, but or Pocahontas, but they're ethnic, so they can't help themselves.
Right, and you have to be wearing very little clothing to
Yeah,
compensate.
so you have to get naked then.
Yeah, you gotta get
Be a good
naked,
person.
otherwise you're mean.
Yeah, you're a horrible human being.
Brunettes have to be naked, otherwise they're mean.
Yeah, they're really well. It's so funny because when I was examining the earlier movies when Disney was still around, all the nice girls had very small breasts,
Yeah.
and the evil women or the women who like got punished had huge racks or nice
Mhm.
butts, and I'm like, Disney had something against women that had an actual chest. That's
Yeah, no, I think it was very deliberate, and they also had the teeny tiny waist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like their waist was like less far apart than both sides of their face. Like the teeny tiny waist and the little perky tits.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
the mean
sometimes
ladies had
even
big tits.
non-existent. Like Snow White has almost like no tits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not that I was checked, but well, I had Barry. Barry Ribs.
Who?
Barry Ribs, the
No.
old man. Okay, he was the guest for Snow White, and he's a 60-something-year-old man who had never seen Snow White, which was shocking.
Oh
to me.
wow.
I just thought seeing Snow White was a prerequisite for being born. I just thought God showed it to you on your way out of the womb. Like, you need to know about this movie.
She was the only one that I ever got compared to that was like the princess.
Oh, yeah, she has black hair. She has darker hair. Oh, okay. Yeah,
She's
yeah.
unique.
She's unique. Yeah, but that was the time of Betty Boop and stuff, so you can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
It's had a very brief flash in the pan when we were allowed.
yeah. So, Little Mermaid was your what do you think? What movie do you think was your favorite?
Not Little Mermaid. I really I think Aladdin
Okay, yeah, that's a great
was
one.
probably my favorite. I really liked Lion King too, but I think I think the character of the genie probably put it over the top for me. But I think the
Okay.
music in The Lion King's probably better. So it's one of those two.
Well, I like Aladdin because I always call it's the stand-up comics Disney film because you have Gilbert
Yeah.
Gottfried
Yeah.
and Robin Williams, and they're just riffing, and the movie's kind of catered to their sense of humor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I think they had to change around most of the movie because when they cast Robin Williams, because he just went nuts improving.
Oh no, but also that role was written for Robin Williams.
No, yeah, I know, but if they didn't get him, I think they would have done something a little bit different.
Yeah, they would have had to.
Yeah, they
I
would
mean
have
that movie didn't even really make sense, like the way that they were doing Disney movies. The whole character of the genie was just such a new, like, novel thing.
Yeah, he's like referencing out because they always said don't make any,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
they had a rule about references from like outside, like like to not date the movie. And then
Right.
Robin Williams is doing Taxi Driver,
And like
he
Rodney
just-
Dangerfield.
Yeah, and, it's
Yeah.
like- and they just went with it. But it was the right choice because I mean that movie's a classic.
Yeah.
You had told me you had seen Frozen 1, right?
Yes, I have.
And what did you think of Frozen 1?
I liked it when I saw it.
Mhm.
I did rewatch it for this though, and I'm less impressed
With Frozen 1, we're talking about.
with Frozen 1. So I was always a huge fan of Idina Menzel, so I was really excited when I found out she was going to be Elsa. And the movie's cute. I think it's funny. But I think I actually enjoyed the second one a little bit more.
Really? Okay, we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so first of all, I like Frozen 1 a lot. I don't love it like everybody else, but I like it. Like, I can watch it if it's on.
It's very funny.
Yeah, well,
I like the jokes.
the jokes, the music, the animation, it's pretty good, and it's pretty good. It's not my favorite, but and I get why this was the movie that kind of like all the kids watch over and over again until they pass out.
Yeah.
Kids, the kids of this generation. But Frozen 2, well, let me just ask you, what did you think of Frozen 2 before I tell you what I thought?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was very.
I hate it.
You hate it.
I hate Frozen 2. Oh my
I
god.
think it's better.
Really? Okay, why do you think
Yeah.
this is better than Frozen 1?
Okay, no. What I was gonna say, there are a lot of moments in there that feel very sequel-y,
Mm-hmm.
and like they've kind of written themselves into a hole. Like I feel like they were kind of attempting to tie up Elsa's story from Frozen 1, and they weren't super prepared to do that, so it led to a lot of plot holes. And there were also parts in it that felt kind of like just shoved in for like to like appease the audience.
Mhm.
But I like the idea of the plot a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more compelling to incorporate like, you know, the enchanted forest and like, you know, the elements, and how Elsa's not just a freak, she's like actually a part of something. And I also like seeing her as being part of the group versus just by herself. I never thought I like Anna, but I don't feel that Elsa is a strong enough character to really carry the story on her own.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed seeing her dynamic when she's actually like with Anna and Kristoff, and they're like solving problems together, and she's just kind of like one of the group, and her powers are just like one of their strengths that they all have to, you know, work together. So yeah, I don't know. I just had a little bit more fun watching this one.
Well, I'll give you this. I like the songs a lot. I thought this movie, all the songs were good. Not that the last movie didn't have a bad song, but I just felt all these songs are very, very strong. Especially,
Yeah.
Did you see Hamilton?
No, I was going to ask you about that.
Okay. The guy who stole the show in Hamilton steals I Lost in the Woods. Did you like that song?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was
yeah.
and he's the king.
I love his voice. I was going to ask you about the guy who voices Kristoff, because I'm not familiar, but his voice is incredible.
So you haven't seen Hamilton yet on Disney Plus?
No, I was going to ask you if I could watch it.
Yes, you can watch it. He steals the show in Hamilton, and I didn't realize it was the same guy. But like, his song is the only song I have still in my head from Hamilton. Every other song I forgot. But that Lost in the Woods is such like an 80s song. I really like that song.
I like it too, and I think it is genuinely funny. And I think a really cool thing that is true in both Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 is that I think the writers and the animators work really well together to like create jokes together. There's a lot of just drawn jokes, you know, there's a lot of jokes just within the animation. And I think the idea of the song is very like sweet and funny, but I really enjoyed all the little things that the animators threw in to make it more funny. Just like when it came to like the split screenshots of like him standing, then his face, where it's like a very like 80s pop ballad video kind of thing.
And like with her showing her fading, like him thinking about her, and then she fades away.
Yeah. And him like just like the facial expressions that he's making. Like I thought it was genuinely funny. I thought it was kind of a weird tone shift though, and I think that's where a lot of my problems with this movie lie. Like I think it's very fun, but also a lot of the choices I'm like, why did they do that?
Well, I just feel, well, here's the deal. I just feel like I think they wanted Walt Disney to do Snow White 2, like way back in the day. They were like, you got to make Snow White 2. And he was just like, where do I go? She got the prince. They killed the queen. What really happens next? Like, there's no story left.
Right.
And so he wouldn't do sequels. And then after he died, they're like, fuck you, we're making all these sequels.
Right.
And that's the same thing with this movie. Is I kind of feel like Frozen 1, they kind of like, it was a happy ending. There's nowhere to go. We're going to move on. And then all of a sudden they made so much money that the powers of be was like, make a Frozen 2. And they're like, fuck, where do we go? And I feel like that's what that movie suffered from. They didn't really know where to go.
I don't know. I disagree. I thought it tied up really well, because I think at the end of the movie Frozen 1, I was kind of asking myself, like, how is that supposed to work with her being queen when she still can't really all the way control her and she still seems so much like she wants to be like in the elements, and like it just didn't make sense. Like it just didn't make sense for her character. For me. It just seemed like this doesn't really seem like something she wants to do. You know, it's kind of like,
no, I hear. Yeah.
She's just doing it because like she has to.
Well, that's like almost. I was saying. I'm sorry. I'm saying this. Whatever. There's a lot of Disney movies where you'll have a female character who's like, "Oh, this sucks. I want to get out of here. I want to go find someplace better." She goes on an adventure, and at the end of the movie, she's right back where she started, and now she's happy. It would almost be like a movie where you move to New York, do stand up. You do stand up for a week, then go back to your small town, like everything's okay. So,
Right. I feel like it has a lot to do with like the whole like want versus need thing, where like Elsa, she wants to like go out where no one's around and like exercise her powers and not worry about anything, but what she needs to do is like take care of her kingdom. And ideally there would be a way for those two things to kind of connect.
And I feel like you're right. At the end of the movie, it did connect because now she's out in the woods. Arendale's safe. Anna's going to take care of like the other part, and she's out in the woods with all these, hippies. I guess I don't know what they are.
Well, no, but I like the ending to the second one. I think it makes more sense.
Well, no, I like the ending, but the way they got there, I thought was very dull. It was very like convoluted. It was a lot of like talk. It was a lot of like show it.
Yeah, it was, and I feel like there was a certain amount of that in the first movie too, but it was just kind of like a lot of explainy, like you have to suspend disbelief a lot. Like you have to kind of take the character's word for it a lot.
The big I thought the big problem with the movie is that the villain of the movie is already dead, like 30-something years. The grandfather's the one who caused the problems. So he's dead, and the parents are dead. I thought they were going to find the parents and want to avenge with the parents. That's what I thought from the trailer. Like, oh, the parents are out there. She's going to go find her parents, and then they're going to like fight a villain or something. And with the parents being dead and the grandfather being dead, the conflict is like, I just felt like there wasn't enough conflict there. It was more of, I get it was more about her inner conflict.
Yes.
Especially in the song Show Yourself, where she realizes that she's been looking for herself, not like...
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. I think that going back to Frozen 1, I really hated Hans as a character. Not because he was a piece of shit, but just because I felt like the whole story could have existed without him.
It was Hans the guy in this movie? I forgot. Or
no,
that's the villain.
Hans was the mean guy. He was the guy who tricks Anna into accepting his proposal, and then at the end he's like, oh, just kidding, I'm actually a cunt and I'm mean and for no reason. Like, I feel like that whole movie could have happened without him, but I think that the writers were like, well, this is a kid's movie and they're not going to be advanced enough to accept a man versus self kind of a conflict. There has to be a man versus man conflict or else their little brains are going to pop. But I thought that he was just an unnecessary character, and it added a whole like romantic element that didn't need to be there, with Anna being like, oh, he's my true love, and like they always make fun of her for, of like getting engaged to the man that he just met. But like I don't think it adds anything to the story. And I think that's kind of the same mistake that they made here. Like they kind of wanted to force some kind of man versus man conflict where it didn't really seem to belong.
Well, and the problem is the villain is already dead, so like there's only so much conflict you can get from, well, he already was defeated. You know what
I guess you could say that like the spirits are kind of the villain, or at least they're like antagonistic in a way, because they wreck Arendelle so the people don't have a place to live, so the goal is to like reconcile with what the spirits want. But then at the end, they kind of just fuck that up, because the whole thing is like, oh, well, we have to be willing to let Arendelle be destroyed for its like prior evils, so we're gonna like break the dam. But then Arendelle doesn't get destroyed, and it's just kind of like, okay, so there were no stakes. You know?
It feels like, because I've watched all these, and I feel like everything after Coco, because Coco, they don't really have big stakes anymore in these Disney movies. But I feel like they feel like kids can't handle it. Whereas kids love stakes. At least when I was a kid, I love it if Ariel fucks up, everyone's dead, and she's for eternity. And now that I feel like they shy away from those like high stakes, where if Aladdin messed up, a lot of people are gonna die if Aladdin fucks up.
Right, yeah. What is the song? What's the song Anna sings to herself when she's like all alone?
Is it the one at the beginning of the movie?
No, it's in the middle. It's right after. It's right after Olaf like melts or whatever.
I'm gonna pull up the Wikipedia page. Oh, that was my favorite part. I hate Olaf. Do you like Olaf? I
think it's so funny.
Really? I don't like Josh Gad.
And I think they draw him super funny. I like his jokes. I think Olaf's fun. I'm pro Olaf.
You're
I'm
pro
I'm
Olaf?
pro Olaf. Yes.
He's my least favorite part of both movies. I don't know.
I like
I
it.
like those characters. Is it The Next Right Thing?
Yes, the next right thing. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. I really liked this song
Yes,
because it
performed by,
was just
yes,
like,
that's it.
it's just unapologetically sad. You know, it's not trying to be anything for the kids. You know, it's her singing about like there's literally no hope for me and
Yeah,
I gotta keep going. There's no tying it up in a bow. There's no if I fight then I'll get something. There is none of that. It's just everything is lost. I'm just gonna keep going. And I think that's really cool that they didn't try and like dumb it down for kids. And I also think that's an important thing for kids to understand is that sometimes in your life, you know, you're really not aiming for anything. You're just kind of trying to survive, you know? Sometimes you might feel hopeless, but it's important to keep going.
Yeah, well, they wrote the song. They were inspired by the song because two people who worked in the movie, one lost a son and one lost a daughter. So that inspired them.
Oh
to
my
write
God.
this.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, that's crazy, but yeah. What did you think? And I don't know why they made this the single, the radio single last fall, and I don't know why they did it because now they've heard the whole song. What did you think of Into the Unknown?
I liked it.
You liked it? I liked it when I heard it because the Panic from is it Panic in the Disco or Panic at the Disco?
At the disco.
Okay, Panic from the Disco.
It's Panic at the disco. You gotta add an exclamation point.
Yeah, their single. They're at the end credits, but their single version. It's funny when I was going to Mexico.
God, Brandon Urie. Can't keep out of anything musical.
Yeah, but I downloaded that song on Spotify before I went to Mexico for the first time to see my family's roots, and I was listening to that song on the plane while we were like landing into Mexico, and I was like, it's such a good song. Like, it reminds me of going into Mexico, which was to me at the time into the, I don't know what's gonna happen in Mexico.
Yeah.
Now the whole year I just had, I wish I stayed there. But yeah, I really like that song. But now when I hear the other songs, I like Lost in the Woods and Show Yourself a lot better. What did you think of Show Yourself?
I thought, okay, this movie did a really funny thing. Okay, so first of all, I don't like Let It Go.
Okay.
I know that's
you don't
gonna
like
make
Let
me
It
mad.
Go.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like, okay, so throughout her career, Idina Menzel, I feel like every role she's been in, people are just trying to push her to just like go to like her limits vocally. Like they did that in Wicked. They've done it for like pretty much every role that she's been in. She's had to like push her voice to the limits. And, you know, obviously she's so well known because she's got this huge range. She's got this big voice and she's sultry and belty and like she can handle it. But I think that just because Idina Menzel can hit every note doesn't mean she should. You know, like songs like Let It Go and to a lesser extent Show Yourself just end up sounding really like screamy.
Okay.
Like a lot of the songs in Wicked I really liked when I first heard them, but now when I listen to like Defying Gravity, it's very, very screamy. It's just Idina Menzel screaming. And of course no one can do it better than she can, but I think that Into the Unknown musically is a lot more interesting because she's in the best part of her range, not necessarily the highest part, but she's in the best part of her range. There's some really cool like minor chords and like minor harmonies that show up, which is I think a welcome change. The harmony with like the disembodied voice I thought was really interesting. So I just think musically Into the Unknown is the most interesting song, if not the most difficult, I guess. Like if not the most impressive in terms of her vocal talent.
Well, I think the part, because I know I was reading people's comments on the Panic at the Disco. Sorry, I keep going Panic in the Disco, Panic from the Disco. But the Panic guys, they said, you know, that's that part like really showed his range. I remember people.
That thing.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard.
It's a really hard run to hit, but it's not. I don't think that it is beautiful. You know, it's very powerful and like strong, but I like my songs to also be beautiful. Like,
yeah, you know, I kind of, if they do a Frozen 3, they got to give Elsa a a more fun song. All of her songs are the wanting songs.
Yeah.
You know, like I want adventure and the great. All of Elsa's, that's all
Right,
Elsa sings.
yeah.
She has like 4 or 5 songs where she's just wanting things. And they
Yeah.
got to give her a song in the next movie, like almost like Beauty and the Beast, which is just like a really pretty, nice song. Not a song about give me my destiny right fucking now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All eyes on me. Let me like erect an ice castle and make myself a new dress.
Yeah, stuff. Yeah, stuff like. Did you? By the way, have you?
Oh.
What? Yes.
You go first. I'm not gonna forget.
Speaking of Dina Zell, because I thought she had a really wild winter last year, the final winter of movies in this country. She went out with a bang. Did you see Uncut Gems?
Yes.
Wasn't she great in that?
She's
Mhm.
she's great. She's so cute. I love her.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought that was such an interesting because she's in the #1 animated film of all time at this point.
Yeah.
Probably forever now because there's going to be no more movie theaters. And she was also in Uncut Gems, and it's just like, such a juxtaposition. But bring up your point. Yeah.
Okay. So after, so we've already heard Into the Unknown. Great. And then Show Yourself happens, and I'm like, okay, so I guess we had to have that song where she's super screamy and hits the big notes. I'm like, all right, movie, I didn't really need that, but I get it. She's got to make herself a new dress, and she can't do that without belting for 4 minutes. Like,
okay,
fine, okay. But then right after she sings Show Yourself, she's like conjuring these memories out of snow with her powers, and one of the memories is of her singing Let It Go. And when she hears it, she cringes. She sees herself like, I don't care, that big thing, and she just goes, oh, and like recoils from it as if like she knows and like the movie knows that
they're sick of the song.
That is not good.
Yeah.
That just like big screamy chorus is not good. Like she physically recoils from it, like holds her ear, and it's just like, ugh, like I can't believe I did that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I missed that. I saw it. I remember that from the first viewing. Somehow I missed that the second viewing. But yeah, that's right.
It was so funny because right after they do another big song like that, they're just like, oh, and by the way, Let It Go sucks. So I'm like, all right, well, you just did it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, because I don't know if you've ever, because I'll put a cover to start my episodes of a song, and when I looked up the Let It Go covers, like YouTube almost broke with the number of Let It Go covers on YouTube. I just feel like it's been covered so many times in so many different genres. It's like we did it.
Well, it's a challenge. It's one of those songs that's just not a lot of people can sing like that. So the people that can want to prove that they can. I feel like it was the same for Defying Gravity when Wicked came out. It's a very difficult song, and I think if you can do it, you're gonna want the world to know that you can do it.
You're gonna hate me. I've never seen a Broadway play.
Oh, you gotta go, man.
Well, I don't know when that's gonna happen.
Oh, wait, you might have missed your chance. Yeah, that's
I think I missed my chance, but
I think you'd enjoy it. I think if you enjoy Disney, you would enjoy it.
Yeah, I never went. I think my dad was gonna take me to see something that was big in the '90s. I can't remember. Maybe The Producers, and I was just like, no. But like, it's so funny because a lot of my friends I grew up with have not go see. I used to do a joke about it because like tourists can't wait to go see Broadway plays, and then you ask your friend. You grew up here. And this is part of my language here. But just like you ask your friend, like you went to high school with, you want to go see a Broadway play? What are you, a fucking faggot?
Yeah.
You like the arts now? You fucking idiot? Yeah.
Oh no. The other middle school kids were not nice to me. Like I was very big into all that stuff in middle school and high school, and I got made fun of a lot.
Yeah. So, but I'm taking you've seen a lot of Broadway plays, right?
I mean, I haven't seen. I saw them a lot when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I was more into it. When I like thought that I was gonna be the next Idina Menzel. I saw a lot of them back then, and I think I've seen enough to have like a cursory knowledge of like the classics.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I haven't seen too many new ones, so I'm excited to watch Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton was. I watched on the 4th of July, and at first, me and the people were watching like, this is stupid. Let's watch something else. And then the more it came, the more we got into it, and then we watched the whole fucking thing.
It's such a big part of the zeitgeist now. Like I have to see it. It's even to the point now where it's like almost canceled.
Oh yeah, well, there's some parts of it I thought were a little problematic to me. I just feel it's weird to have like people who own slaves and you're trying to make them cool. Like they make Thomas
Right.
Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson kind of has almost like a Prince Andre 3000 swag.
Right.
And to me, that's just like weird because of his past. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was the main complaint people had, was that it was kind of tone deaf to have like Black American actors, first of all, playing slave owners, and also, like you said, kind of like glorifying them. I
Yeah.
think it's funny because I think when Hamilton first came out, it was like very woke to have a all people of color cast, you know, and we were so grateful for that we didn't even think about the material until later on. And then we're just like, wait a minute, maybe this isn't the best.
Well, but my thing is like that people would. I was reading articles about Hamilton that Ted Cruz loves it, Hillary loves it, Obama loves it. Who's some other Republican who like has murdered people? Lindsey Graham loves it. It unites everyone. But you know, when Lindsey Graham sees Thomas Jefferson swagging, he's like, "That's me. I like that. I'm a super." They have me misunderstood. I'm actually a super cool dude. So it's almost like a power fantasy for them. Like I'm just I'm a hip cool dude. You guys don't get how hip and cool me and Ted Cruz are. It's almost like you're excusing that behavior. That's how I feel. That's why they like it so much.
Do you know if anyone has like addressed this with Lin-Manuel Miranda? Like if he has thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think he just dismisses them. I know there was like 1,000 articles written about it, and then
good point.
Yeah,
it's not even like a stretch. It's a good point. You know,
I would have. And somebody said, well, nobody would have went to go see it. I'm like, why didn't you? George Lucas tried so hard to make a movie about the Red Tails, which were the all-black World War II pilots.
Yeah,
and he had to actually, even after he made 6 fucking Star Wars films and took over the Hollywood, he still had to use his own money to get it made, and he barely got promoted. He basically. Yeah, and I'm like, why not a musical about that? And they were like, oh, but no one's going to go see it. They're going to go see about Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. And I'm like, so at least all the black actors have a shot. I'm like, well, that's true. I would probably go see. If Prince made a musical about Hitler, I'd probably go see that. But it's still a musical about Hitler. Not that Hitler is the same as the founders of our country. But you get my point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in many ways he was. But I think what you're describing is just like the question of, do we want to make money or do we want to have something that's going to have lasting impact and lasting value? I think Hamilton probably made a lot of money, but look how long it took for people to be like, no, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it came out like 5 years ago? So
yeah, that's how Hollywood is. And like, if George Lucas is like, I want to make
everything is how art is.
Yeah, that's why I sometimes think people don't get when they're like, oh, everything's being woke. It's hard to get representation. If George Lucas is like, I want to make an all-black film, and people in Hollywood are like, yeah, fuck you, bro. After 6 motherfucking Star Wars films,
right,
like,
right.
You think they'd be like, okay, yeah, here. You would think a Disney or some studio would just throw money at him.
Yeah. When was he trying to get this made? Because I feel like he's made a lot of atrocities that probably shouldn't have gotten made.
He tried to get it made since '83, and he got it made like when the fuck was this made? Sorry, I have
not heard of it. I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah, because it bombed horribly. But he got it made. Red Tails, 2012. He didn't direct it. He just produced it. It's with Terrence Howard and
Terrence Howard.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh.
And Neo. And Michael B. Jordan. And Bryan Cranston. Nobody
strong cast.
Yeah, well.
I guess it takes more than that, though.
Yeah, I know, right? Going back to Frozen 2, the other thing I wanted to mention, I kind of wanted, because Anna went through so much to get Elsa back in Frozen 1. I kind of wanted a few scenes of Anna and Elsa actually having fun as adults, because Frozen 1 ends right when they reunite, and in Frozen 2, the minute we start, she's like miserable, and it's like, aren't you happy you're with your sister? Your sister literally went through hell and back to get to save you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, it did raise a lot of questions about their relationship, because it was like, you know, they have that incident when they're children where Elsa puts the streak in her hair and like hurts her or whatever, and so they erase her memory. And then it seems like from there on until adulthood, they don't really see each other.
Yeah, and
They just
now
keep Elsa locked away in a room for years and years, which also I feel like doesn't get properly addressed. No one ever like says like, "Hey, we're torturing this child." Like, why are we doing that?
yeah, that's the thing. Like, the parents are dead for years, and she's not leaving that room.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the other servants be like, "Hey, Elsa, why don't you ever leave this room?" Like they're just like, "No, she doesn't leave her room." It is
Right,
what it
or like who's keeping her in there? Like who could possibly contain her? She's like essentially
Mhm.
all powerful. I didn't think it made sense. And you're right, it gets to the point where when they finally connect in Frozen 1 and now they have like sister time, it's almost like they're right back where they started.
Yeah, she like
We
doesn't
don't
even
ever
even.
get to see them like build their relationship as they are now. It's
Yeah,
almost
like
like yeah.
I just feel like Anna. I just feel like, and I've had relationships where I like a girl and the girl is just like kind of. I just feel like Anna's constantly chasing Elsa. We're best friends. We're sisters. And
Yeah.
Elsa's like, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna go over here now.
It is a sad dynamic. And it's
Yeah.
like in Frozen 2 when Elsa finally like goes off on her own and Anna is just distraught. Like she's singing about how her whole life has been like in service to Elsa, just like trying to get that door open and then like trying to save her. And like it is very sad. You don't even I feel like the story doesn't really dwell on that enough until we
Yeah.
get to that point. And then you're just like, oh yeah, she really is just kind of
Just miserable all the time.
yeah, just like
Yeah.
following Elsa around, and Elsa's just kind of like, meh.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
I'm
No,
going.
I
I'm gonna
like
make
you.
a dress.
Yeah, I like you, but these people in the forest are way more interesting.
You're cool, but like I'm magical. But then
Yeah.
turns around and is like, we do everything together. It's like bullshit, Elsa. Like you don't care.
Yeah.
You don't give a shit about poor Anna.
And yeah, and probably she's probably like annoyed that fucking Olaf came with what's his name? Not Olaf. What's the guy from
Oh,
Hamilton? What's Kristoff? Sorry, I always
yeah,
want to call him Hans. She's probably even like annoyed when Kristoff shows up. Oh, this guy again? Like that.
maybe. I do another kind of weird like
Mhm.
relationship thing is also in the beginning of the movie. Kristoff is trying to propose to
That
Anna.
was weird. That, by the way, that was stolen from Rescuers Down Under. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
Yeah, I remember that, but I don't remember Bianca being such a cow about it.
Well,
Like,
the weird part is he's trying to have a talk with her about the first movie, and she just starts acting like a lunatic. And I'm like, I don't think
yeah,
Anna would act like
being,
this.
yeah, she's being such an asshole. And you're
Mhm.
just like, dude, can you calm down for a second?
Yeah.
That's one of those choices that seemed really contrived. Like, why is she being such an asshole right now?
Well, I think they needed a reason for Kristoff to be in the movie, for him to have a plot, so he's not just standing there being like, "Where to next, Anna and Elsa? Whatever
Yeah,
you need, Anna and Elsa." Because if him and Anna are happy, then he's just kind of just standing there. Well, so he has to have a problem. But it did make her look like a lunatic and an idiot.
it did, yeah. And then yeah, I think there were parts in the movie where I just kind of felt bad for Kristoff. Like, there's the part where he goes off all night and he's like planning this big proposal for her, and she wakes up and she's like, "He's gone. Oh, well then I'm gonna go too." Like, doesn't like bother to like figure out what happened. She's just like, "Oh, he left. Well, fuck him." It's like, don't you
Yeah,
wonder where he went? Like,
it, it feels like they had a really great relationship up until when the movie started, and then like
yeah,
she was like, "I'm gonna start acting crazy, otherwise this movie's over in 20 minutes."
yeah, and she's just being an asshole for no reason. And
Yeah.
then when they finally meet back up, like he like saves her from something. Oh shit, he says something really interesting. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, like he rescues her and she's like, "I'm so sorry." And he immediately goes, "It's okay. I'm here now. What do you need?" And I was just like, oh my god. I was like, he's such a good guy. Like, she's such an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, he just puts aside everything because he thought that she left him, and she kind of did. And he just puts all that aside and just like, "I'm here now. What do you need?" I think Kristoff is probably the most mature, like, well-adjusted character.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he just has these two Looney Tunes sisters that he has to constantly put up with. He just wants to
Right.
get married and take care of his girl. And it's like, my moody sister, there's there's always someone, like in the real world, there's always there's always a person who's just always moody, and everyone has to cater to their whims. And there's always drama in the group, and that's Elsa basically. Like, why is she moody again today? Well, it's because the spirits are, I don't know, just.
Yeah, and we could probably do more to, like, when they're making Anna act like a lunatic and she's being an asshole, it feels very incongruous because everything Anna does is for other people. It just doesn't feel like it fits her character because she is so conscientious and she's so, you know, is everyone okay? Am I doing enough to help everybody? But then Elsa, her character is portrayed as very pure and very, you know, she's like this like moon child, like hippy dippy, one with the universe, whatever, kind of almost like a Christ figure, and no one really seems to call her out for being so ungrateful and so like unaccountable, like you said, to her sister, and just like selfish.
Yeah, selfish, and not. I know she's the whole movie, but I relate more to every other character but her. It's hard to relate to her because she is always like, she's always like kind of putting people in danger because I don't really feel good, and it's like,
yeah, and there was a moment. I feel like she's very like, she's almost like white savior in this movie, and there's a part where you know, they're looking at like memories in the snow and they find out that their mother was Northuldra. She was like one of the tribal people. And both of the girls get like this smile on their face. And then they turn to like the tribe people and they're like, our mother was Northuldra. And it was so fucking like, my grandmother was part Cherokee. Like, they look so like, we're actually the good guys, even though
we're actually in charge of you. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We're actually in charge of you. Yeah, even though our grandfather fucking like imprisoned you in this dark forest for 35 years. Like, but our mother was Northuldra, so we get it. You know, like
no, that's so true. Yeah, no, you picked that. Yeah, they did have that moment. Yeah, it was a very white savior moment. Yeah, no, you're right. Wow, that's funny. You're good at this. I'm glad I had you on this.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the movie.
What do you think? Because everyone and their everyone, Twitter mainly. I've come to realize. Let me ask you a question, because you have from a small town. You have a lot of friends who probably aren't comedians. They probably work 9 to 5s now and stuff like that. Do any of those people have a Twitter?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that one of the biggest lies, and me getting conspiracy, is that a lot of people have Twitter. I'm starting to think actually no one has Twitter. I
do wonder about that, because it does seem like there's a lot of small town people on there.
Yeah, but I don't know anyone that has a job, like a regular job. All my friends who have regular jobs, who don't give a fuck about becoming famous or doing stand-up or anything, who like don't even want, you know, they have no interest in like, you know, being a streamer or anything like that. They just work, go home. None of them have a Twitter. None of them check Twitter. None of them know how it works. They have an Instagram, they have a Facebook, and sometimes even have a TikTok, but they do not have a fucking Twitter. And I'm starting to think that Twitter is a bad barometer of how people actually feel in this country.
Yeah. Well, you could say a bad barometer. I think that Twitter, in terms of its format, tends to kind of bring out the worst in people. Yes. So it is a bad barometer, but it's also, I think Twitter, just in terms of how it's formulated, kind of feeds us those bad feelings, and then we kind of project them back, and it's kind of a cycle. But I think it's trained us to only accept information in very small bites and to respond to words that invoke a fight or flight response. And we've stopped looking for the nuances in what we're told and what we read. We're only willing to accept this little bit of information. And there's no way, there's no way a lack of critical thinking or a lack of nuance can ever contribute anything good to the discourse. You know what I mean? So it would be cool if it stayed what it was intended to be and just been like, just took a nap, gonna eat some soup, you know what I mean? But of course, we evolved far past that.
But like today, somebody posted about, there was a CNN posted that the next few months there might be like really bad lockdowns and people are gonna get depressed. And but their bunch of accounts said my ICU is empty, my ICU is empty, and I went. They have like 3 followers, and they started their account like a month ago. And I'm like, I think these are all like just bots from either government, like Russian government, or I think a lot of these are just bot accounts, and people think like, oh, this is what some guy in his little town thinks, and it's like, no, this is thinking. But anyway, back to Frozen. We're gonna relate to Frozen.
I just want to say I'm amazed at how easy it is to detect bots.
Yeah, no, it really is, and I'm like starting to realize like, I don't know. I'm starting to think like I don't think Twitter is a good place to make a fan base. After the show, people, the show that we're doing, people always go up to me and be like, "Do you have an Instagram?" And I do, and I'm getting most of my customers from Instagram. No one ever asks if this show has a Twitter. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, good. Well, we've ended Twitter this podcast. That's good. But on Twitter, when Frozen 1 came out, everybody and their mother was tweeting they wanted Elsa to be gay. And Elsa kind of has a little, very friendly relationship with one of the natives in this movie. Do you think they were trying to imply that Elsa is gay or a lesbian?
You're talking about Honey Marin, I believe her name is.
Yes.
I thought she had a really cool name. Okay, this is very interesting. Very interesting you brought this up. Okay, so going back a couple scenes from that, because my brain ticked up a little bit when that scene happened. Going back a few scenes from that, we see the meeting of Ryder and Kristoff, which I thought was really interesting. So Ryder says something about the sky opening up and like, oh, I can't believe that like we're gonna get out, or like something about like freeing the forest. And Kristoff is like, yeah, man, I get it. And then they kind of just casually like meet and make friends. And it was such a little thing, but I thought that it was really cool just to see like 2 grown men being friends with each other. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just a really cool thing that like you don't always see in kids movies, and like really in any movies, just like 2 men becoming friends, and it's a very sweet thing, and it doesn't have to be anything more than that. And then in the following scenes, I kind of got the feeling that maybe Ryder is like a little bit into Kristoff. And then you have the scene where Elsa's talking to Honey Marin, and I kind of thought the same thing. And I thought to myself, well, why do I think that? And I think that it's because we don't have enough representation of adult characters of the same sex just kind of becoming friends with each other. I feel like a lot of Disney, a lot of the relationships they push are like parent offspring dynamics, and also heterosexual relationship, like romantic dynamics. That's what we always see. It's always about a daughter's relationship to her mother, or this man's relationship to this woman he loves. There's not a whole lot of plot centered around just people being friends with each other. So my mind did go there, because I think that we're kind of conditioned to think that if there are 2 characters who could feasibly be sexually compatible, then that's what's going on. That's what's going to happen. But I don't think it always needs to be that. I don't think the fact that she had a conversation with this woman should trigger thoughts of like sexual tension. Yeah. I think it should just be normal for us to see grown-ups being friends.
But, well, I feel like adult fans of animation have ruined animation because they want every animated character to fuck the other animated character. By the way, I just Googled I Googled that character, and there's nothing but fan art. You do an image search of her and Elsa. It's more romantic than porn, but there's all this like where they're on top of each other. Or they're like,
what is Honey Marin? Like, her name is Honey.
Yeah, Honey Marin. Yeah,
they kind of slip in some little extra tenderness for Honey Marin.
The other thing too is it's a white actress playing Honey Marin. I saw the picture of the actress, and they're gonna have to change that after what happened this summer. So remember, all the actors dropped out. If they ever bring Honey Marin back,
she dropped out because Honey Marin's supposed to be wet.
No, wouldn't that? I guess they're Native Americans or
no.
What?
They're like nothing.
They're like nothing? Okay. Well, remember,
so Arendelle is loosely based off of like Norwegian culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sad that I don't know this, but I don't know of
Well, Honey Mary looks very much like Pocahontas. I mean, in
right,
the
but are there indigenous people in Norway? I guess is what I'm. I don't feel like there would be. I feel like Scandinavia is pretty white.
Well, they also had Sterling K. Brown. He's African American. He's in this, and I don't think are there any African Americans in Norway either.
Feasibly, there could be a few, but this is also.
It's a fantasy world.
It's a fantasy world, but there are some elements to it that kind of suggest that maybe this is not a complete fantasy, but maybe like a parallel Earth. They did a couple things at the end which I thought were really interesting. Matthias pulls out a photograph, and they're like talking about the photograph, and I'm like, okay, wait. So there's a monarchy. Feasibly, this is like a Norwegian culture somewhat, and Norway does still have a monarchy. It's a constitutional monarchy, but arguably still a monarchy, so that's possible. But then it would have had to take place somewhere in like the mid 1800s for photographs to be new. So
maybe it's in a post-apocalyptic world, where
maybe. And then one detail that I thought was really interesting is that in one of the like snow memories that Elsa's looking at, you see her parents when they're younger, and Aduna asks Agnar what he's reading, and he says, "Oh, just some Danish author."
Well, that's supposed to be about Hans Christian Andersen.
Sure, but if Denmark exists and Hans Christian Andersen exists, then arguably this is some form of Earth, right? Like this is some version of Earth, which I thought was really interesting.
Well, maybe the world ended and then they rebuilt this Arendelle after Trump had us all killed with COVID. The survivors went somewhere and then they got all ice power stuff. I don't know. Maybe.
And then Hans Christian Andersen had just been like rediscovered.
Yeah, they rediscovered him. Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, look at these stories." That's an interesting take. Yeah, they did have a photograph. There was weird little things. I think there's gonna be a Frozen 3 just because even though I didn't like Frozen 2, they probably made so much money with this. They'll probably do a Frozen 3. Do you think in Frozen 3, do you think they should make Elsa a lesbian, or should they stay kind of like we don't know what she is?
I would have no problem with it. I don't know. It would depend on the plot. I'm less concerned with is she gay, is she not gay? I'm more concerned with do we need sex in the plot? I think that was a big thing for me in Frozen 1 when the story had to be driven by Hans and Anna's attraction to Hans and how that kind of drove the story. And I think they put sex in the plot where there didn't need to be any. I don't think Hans needed to be there. I don't think they needed to have that relationship. So I wouldn't be upset if she has a female love interest as long as it adds something to the movie.
Yeah, I kind of feel like adult fans of animation, like when I was a kid, there were no adult fans, but I feel like adult fans of animation really ruin it because when I look into, I don't watch a lot of the new animated series because there's so many adult fans like Steven Universe or My Little Pony or the new She-Ra. They constantly try to be like, either make the characters gay or make the characters hook up. And these are like people like almost my age. I'm 39 doing this on Tumblr. And I'm like, this is for kids. And in He-Man, the original He-Man, nobody fucked in He-Man. And I was in there being like, I really wish He-Man and Teela would fuck. Like, I just enjoyed the action.
Right.
I think sometimes it takes away. And I feel like these adult fans sexualize these characters so fast. And it just kind of like you're right, it kind of takes away, and it takes away the story and the pureness of the characters,
It's like I remember there was a big hoorah over making LeFou gay in the new Beauty and the Beast, the live action one. But like he's not any gayer than he was in the cartoon. Like he doesn't have there's no on-screen male kiss. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have a male love interest. There's like a second at the end of the movie where he like dances with another man, which I would argue doesn't amount to being gay, but whatever, Disney. Like, I have no problem with gay representation in film, but also remember, yes, you're making a film for children, and I don't think we need to inject sex in every story.
Yeah, I don't think like just because, and I feel like maybe, just like there's weirdo guys, like there was like some strange women out there that were attracted to Elsa in the first movie, like she should be gay because I want to fuck her.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
it just doesn't matter to me. I guess I would say that I would like her to have a love interest. I think that could be nice, but they have to make sure that it makes sense and that it's
well, yeah, and also the other thing, like this is, I think this is a pretty interesting film because I don't know when Disney's going to have another movie like this. Like Soul is coming out for free on Disney Plus Christmas Day. I really don't know when the movie theaters are going to come back. So we could be reviewing the last theatrical Disney animated film right now, me and you, because this whole model could be changing day by day. What do you think? Like, because they shut down the movie theater by my house.
I was just
every film's being delayed. What do you think is the future of the movie industry?
That's hard to say. I mean, you could kind of argue that if people were so willing to replace cinematic movie watching with streaming, that it probably might have happened already. We've had DVDs forever, we've had VHS forever, now we have streaming, which obviously opens us up to a lot more things. It seems to me that people still enjoy going and doing a thing. When you watch a movie at your house, it doesn't really feel like you're doing anything because you can walk away at any point.
Yeah.
So I think that people still enjoy going. I know that I love going on a date to the movies. I find that so much fun and so romantic. I love like getting popcorn and like cuddling up with somebody. Like I love going to the movies, but
and I feel like you can, especially if the movie's good, you bond with that person. Seeing a great film.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been wrong before. We didn't think the Kindle was going to catch on because people like to flip the pages, but here we are.
I used to be an avid comic book collector, and I don't recommend that. I'll tell you why I don't recommend it. Getting rid of them is fucking horrible. They're like, those chains that, like, I don't know if you ever saw a Christmas Carol that Jacob Marley would carry. Those comic books. If I ever move, those are my fucking chains. Like, oh, like we got all this firewood for the outdoor show to keep going until December, and me and Lynette, who's helped me with the shows, we had to move my comic books. And it was an all-day thing, just moving my boxes of fucking comic books to get this firewood. I'm like, these fucking comics, I've been selling them on eBay for 5 years. I haven't made a fucking dent. Anyway, my whole point is I read now more comic books because of my not my Kindle, my tablet, because I can store like 1,000 comic books at once on there.
Yeah, and it's convenient.
Fucking great. I think if there was I think as long as COVID goes by, the movie industry is fucked. And I think the biggest mistake they made was when they put out Tenet, not putting in the drive-ins. Because I went to the drive-in to see New Mutants, and I had a great time. I felt very safe. Yeah. And I had a group of friends that wanted to go with me to see Tenet in the drive-in, and they wouldn't put it out in the drive-in. They wanted to force everyone to go to the theaters. And I think people are like, I don't feel safe. And you know what? I can enjoy movies at home now. I have 4K TVs. And I think they kind of fucked themselves doing that.
Yeah. It does seem kind of it seems like a weird thing to go back to. It's, we might have liked it when it was a normal part of our lives, but now that we've realized that we don't really need it and that there are easier alternatives, might have been nice, but it's one thing to like keep it going after 100 years. It's another thing to completely not have it and then go back to it.
Well, I think the reason why my shows are successful is people do want to go back to the movies. They want to go back to seeing comedy, live concerts.
I'm amazed at how many people you've got. I really did not expect people to be coming out in any sort of real way.
Yeah, well, because,
kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, because I have it spaced out and it's outdoors, and I'm hearing like some comedy clubs of Eastville is having indoor shows, and they're only getting like 7 or 8 people. I heard because people. They're not willing to risk their health. They want to go back and have a good time, but they don't want to risk their health until they're guaranteed that this is gone.
Yeah, I think it's that they don't want to risk their health, and they also don't want to risk the health of others. Like
others, yes.
I've been in such like, when outdoor shows were still kind of getting figured out. I went to a couple shows where like it was kind of not cool like
Yeah,
how
yeah,
close everyone was, and like I wasn't so much like, I kind of feel like I'm gonna get COVID, but I was more thinking like, oh fuck, I hope I don't give anybody COVID. Like,
Yes.
not just because
Yeah.
like I'm such a good person, but just because that's kind of fucking embarrassing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be out there like spreading disease, and I also don't want anybody to die. But I think it is also like I don't want to go to the movies and get COVID, but also like I don't want to be one of the few people going to the movies because it seems like I'm one of the few people who doesn't give a shit
Yeah, I have to go see
if the
Tenet.
people around me are safe, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a guilt
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, so I think like the movies can come back, but you have to make it safe. And I think right now drive-ins, I like the drive-in. I ain't never been to a drive-in until this summer. I fucking like. Have you been to a drive-in?
No, I've never. It sounds awesome.
It's fucking awesome, and you're in your car, and the sound system's good. You have the sun, the moon, and the star. I went upstate New York because there's no drive-ins here, but you see like the sun and the and not the sun, the stars and the moon. It's fucking epic, and like I'll go see Tenet, but they put in the drive-in. Now I'm never gonna see Tenet. Fuck you, you ruined that. You missed.
What is that movie? Tenant? What is that?
It's Christopher Nolan. It was the first big movie. It's with Robert Pattinson. He's like a time traveler or something. I don't know. It's supposed to have like 3 or 4 twists in it. But Christopher Nolan, he did Interstellar and Dunkirk and the Dark Knight trilogy.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, there was his big. This was supposed to be the big return to cinemas, and nobody went. People were like, "Fuck you, we're not going."
That sucks for Christopher Nolan.
And they had to delay. Now they had to delay like every big movie or put it on. Like they're putting out Coming to America 2 on Amazon Prime, which I'm excited for, and Borat 2 is on Amazon Prime as well.
What?
You didn't know about
I
Borat?
did not know about any of this.
Yeah,
Coming
because
to America too.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be in theaters, and Tenet bombed so hard they sold to Amazon for like $100 million, and now it's going to be on Amazon Prime around Christmas time.
I mean, I'm glad I get to see it. I did not know that there was a huge want for a sequel to Coming to America.
Apparently there is.
I know people wanted that.
I mean, I wanted it like in the 90s, but then I kind of like moved on in my life. But I'll see it. I mean, you know.
So what do you think they're gonna do? Where do you think the story goes?
Oh, it's his son. His son it's basically a remake. I think the son moves to America to like meet a girl or something.
You think it's gonna be good?
No, I think
No.
I think if they made this in the 90s, it would have been good.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't because you gotta do like a completely different style of humor.
Yeah, there's
You
certain
can't do the same kind of humor that was in Coming to America.
Yeah, there's certain movie series where it's like you have a finite amount, like Saturday Night Fever 3, right now, right now would be unwatchable. But if you made like a third Saturday Night Fever, like at the late 80s, because they made a sequel.
Yeah.
And what's another movie series? Or like The Breakfast Club. Like you couldn't really do The Breakfast Club now. Like, you know, like
You
a
could do
sequel.
cute remake though.
It would actually you could do because if you made like Cobra Kai, you probably could. You make it like a Netflix series.
Yeah, the idea of like misfit high school kids is
Now they're middle aged. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't thinking that.
Oh, well, have you seen Cobra Kai?
All of those same characters.
Yeah. Have you seen
Just
Cobra
follow.
Kai?
Huh?
Have you seen Cobra Kai?
No, is it good? It seems so weird to me.
You like Karate Kid?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's good because like I call it Beverly Hills 90210 for 40-something-year-old men.
Yeah.
Because like all my friends who like shit on me for watching CW shows are like in love with this show, and I'm like, this is basically a CW show, but it's using characters from a movie you grew up on, so that's why you love it.
I think I saw the first few minutes, and then when I found out that Ralph Macchio was going to be the bad guy, I was like,
No,
not in my house.
not here. I
We
watched
stand Ralph Macchio.
Oh yeah, wow. I like it, but I like 80s things. You know, you like my stats about Kirk Cameron, right? I want to like do a thing where we save Kirk Cameron from.
Have you seen those movies? I mean, you know about the books, right?
I know about the books. I never saw the movies. I saw him I saw him on the Trinity Broadcasting Network doing a Man on the Street thing, like Billy Eichner, Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
And he would ask people like, "Hey, have you ever stolen?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, that's cool. You can go to heaven. Like it's fine if you."
Oh.
And he goes like, "But do you believe in Jesus?" "No." "Well, you're gonna go to hell." Like so like some person's like, "I never stole, I never killed, I never cheated on my wife." "Okay, but do you believe in Jesus?" "No." "Well, you're gonna go to hell then." And they're like, "Why?" "Because if you accept Jesus right now, you'll get to heaven because you're a good person. But He's like an evil human being.
Yeah, that is very evil. What a terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What a terrible. I mean, what's the? Jesus Christ! What's the? I mean, I consider myself loosely like culturally Christian. I think the Bible's a very beautiful book, and I don't see why we can't just leave it there. But I think that there are ways to try and convert people that don't make you seem like such an asshole. Like, why would you? You can't scare people into your religion. Like, you just can't. It says that does not work.
He's building facilities, or he's like putting money into facilities where, all right, let's say, because he's pro-life. Well, let's say you get raped, right? All right, let's say you get raped and you're pregnant. You go to this facility and they will teach you and the rapist, I think, how to raise the baby so the baby's like a good person. Like, I don't know how it works. Like,
well, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. Like,
whatever it is, it doesn't work.
I'm just wondering, like, so, like, oh my God, my dad raped me, and now I'm pregnant. I'm just throwing this out. The most fucked up scenario.
Right.
They get Kurt Cameron on the phone. Hey, Kurt, this woman just got raped by her dad. Now she's pregnant. Oh, I got a facility. What do they do when they get to the facility? Now you're gonna keep the baby, but we're gonna have a counseling session with you and the dad. Let's get him in. Like, what do they do? I just don't understand.
I mean, far be it for me to try and like come up with any kind of reasonable reason for this, but I think that probably the facility is just they need an enclosed space to do whatever the fuck they're doing, because they need to like I feel like they need to put a door between people on the outside, because a lot of these people are going to be like, what the fuck, It's like
I feel like you get raped and your horrible parents like throw you in this facility so you cannot have an abortion, because that's basically what it is. It's basically like a prison.
Those like those like pro-life kind of answers to Planned Parenthoods where they bring you in and like try and talk you down and say like, you still have time, don't worry, like you have all of these resources available to you, and they tell you like just put it off, like you don't know for sure, you might regret it, and and we're gonna help you. And then 7-8 months later, like these girls are like, okay, well, I think I want to get an abortion, and then they find out it's too late. There's like these organizations that will just do anything and say anything to these women to get them to keep their babies. So the roots of the idea exist. It's fucking
but my thing is like, if someone doesn't have any money and someone doesn't like, if you're a girl and you went to a party and then this happened, and you don't have any money, and and you like basically they're like tough luck, like, so eventually do they just leave you alone? You have to go work a shitty job to support a kid that you didn't really want? Or I don't know. I think eventually they're just like, tough luck, you're on your own.
I don't think that there is any genuine principles behind being pro-life. I mean, liberals are very quick to point out that the only life they seem to care about is like unborn fetuses, and then once that baby is born poor into a broken home, then they're just like, well, fuck you, we're not going to give you welfare.
It's like, go get a job, and you're like, what? You made me have this baby.
I think it's more just an attempt to just kind of like vilify women and like slut shame them and say, oh, well, if you don't want to get pregnant, then you shouldn't have had sex. And I don't know. I really don't know what the end game for being pro-life is. I don't know how it's supposed to work in a society to force.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
people to have kids that don't want them. I don't get it.
And if you're like a woman and you're like, well, I would never, like, even if this baby came by accident, I'm not going to get rid of it. That's cool, because that's your choice. So you made that choice, and you have to change your life because you don't want to have an abortion. That's your own choice. But like, no one else can make that choice for you.
Well, we gotta ask Kurt Cameron.
Kurt Cameron makes the choice for us. I forgot.
Yeah. Before I can make this decision, I'm gonna need to call Kurt Cameron.
It'd be so funny, because if he like denounced all this and got cast in a sitcom where he was just shitting on himself being like that, he'd probably become the biggest star in the world again within like 5 episodes of that show. I mean, it's that's the funniest part, is like, people want to like you, and you just are just a horrendous human being.
Yeah, wasn't it you that you were talking about? What was it, Growing Pains?
Yeah,
And
because I
like
watched him on the
how
show.
normal he is on that show, and it's
And
how it's so
likable.
weird that he's like a fanatic. Yeah, everybody liked him. He was like America's sweetheart. I think that's probably why people don't regard him as being an evil man so much,
Yeah.
because he's like he's Kirk Cameron. He's from Growing Pains, so people are willing to give him like the benefit of the
And
doubt.
I think he also is smart enough to stay in his own lane. Like he basically is his own echo chamber. He's not trying to like get on Dancing with the Stars,
Right.
or
Oh
fit in
my
these
God.
Hallmark movies. Like I think the Hallmark movies are a little bit too much for him. He just does these Left Behind, Surviving Christmas, which looks horrible.
Is he in current movies? Like, does he still act?
He's still making Catholic movies, yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and they're not good. I haven't seen them, but I know he's still making them. So it's sad.
Yeah, it's sad and it's gross, but I mean, at least it's not.
At least it's not Michael J. Fox. That would really break my heart.
Yeah. Fuck Kirk Cameron.
Yeah, fuck him.
Fuck Growing Pains.
Fuck that. That wasn't even that good of a show. Well,
yeah.
Who's the boss? Way better.
Yeah, exactly.
Although Alyssa Milano is. Have you? We're gonna end the podcast in a minute, but have you ever seen the interview with Rose McGowan about Alyssa Milano?
Have I seen what?
Rose McGowan. There's a clip of an interview Rose McGowan did, and they asked her if she still talks to Alyssa Milano. Have you ever seen?
No,
this?
but I'd love to know.
Basically, go to her. Do you like Melissa Milano? I cannot stand that woman. And they go to Rose McGowan but she is helping out with the Me Too movement. She encourages victims to speak out all the time. Why don't you like her? Her husband works for 3 Arts. 3 Arts represents a lot of predators. You do the math. She is a double agent trying to ruin all our lives. It was just like the way she did.
Rose McGowan is a beautiful hot mess.
Yeah.
I feel bad that she's so crazy now. I'm still on.
But that's why I always say that's why these guys, even in comedy, like some of the guys who have committed sexual assault on some female comedians, they always go for like the ones who are like Rose McGowan probably was always like this. So Harvey Weinstein figured, well, who's gonna believe her? Because once she and
maybe loners to a certain amount. To a certain extent too, if they see a girl who kind of doesn't really have like a core group of friends, or is a little weird. Yeah, no, I think that's definitely true.
Yeah, and
it's essentially bullying.
Yeah, it's a bully. It's like, well, this person is kind of off kilter, so I'm gonna do something to them. But I feel like that's
who's gonna believe her? Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's sad.
I again, but this is a good conversation. I heard when you were a kid and you auditioned for a Nickelodeon show, you're not actually auditioning. What's going on is, so they see what the parent does. Now, if a parent is sitting in the audition and being like, well, how many hours is my kid going to work? Who's my kid going to be with? What's going to go on? That kid could be the fucking next great actor. They're not going to cast that kid. But if a parent is like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go the grocery at the bar and have food and play some video games. Let me know when the audition's over. Thanks. I trust you. And your kid's like hot, 9 times out of 10 that kid's gonna get cast because like, oh well, we can do whatever we want to this kid. This fucking parent's off to La La Land. So, they look. No
wonder all those child actors come out on the wrong side of it.
Yeah, they profile the predators and the abusers. They profile. They're not gonna just randomly abuse people. They're gonna profile to see who can we take advantage. Same thing at a job interview.
Yeah, who doesn't have a strong support system behind them.
Oh yeah, same thing. When I used to be the manager at Caroline's, if somebody came in and basically like, I'll be this club's bitch and do whatever you want for free, the GM would tell me to hire them, even if I think there's something off with that person. But they would want that person to be hired because like, oh, this person's ready only to be taken advantage of. So
yeah, but usually those people are not the most talented.
No, well, this was hiring to be
Sometimes.
They were to be servers and stuff, like the bartenders and stuff. I used to be the manager there.
Oh.
But that was like back in the day. Jess, Jess. Why did I think I said the wrong name? Where can people find you on social media?
I'm at Just Feeney on Twitter, the hellscape that is Twitter, and also on Instagram. That's JUSTFEENEY. You can find me on Facebook.
Where'd you get that face?
Well, I mean, like, don't hit me up on Facebook, but I am on Facebook. But yeah,
you have
at
some
Just
funny.
Keith.
You have
Huh?
some funny. You have some funny threads on Facebook. You let people know who's boss on there.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't really
People
like.
are so stupid. I
Yeah.
get impatient.
Yeah, you're like. Let me tell you something about this motherfucker.
All right, look.
Yeah, that's
Like
that's you
Joe
on Facebook.
Biden. Like, here's the deal. All
Yeah.
right, Jack.
Yeah, I remember you fucking went off on someone from Washington D.C. the other day. It was glorious. It was great.
Yeah, sounds like me.
Okay. All right, yeah, guys. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, or if you're a fan of Jess Feeney or Frozen 2, but not Frozen 1, this is your first time listening. You're like, fuck the Frozen 1 episode. I'm going right to the Frozen 2.
Fuck you, Frozen One.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Hans. You don't belong here.
Yeah, fuck Hans. I have done an episode now. I did every single movie made by Walt Disney Animated Studios now. It's official. Starting with Snow
Wow.
White to this. Never been done
Yay.
before. Different comic, very talented and funny, interesting, just like Jess was on this show. So
Thank
please go back to the archives. Next week starts season 2. It's funny. Next week will come out. It'll be the week of we'll already know who the president is when Toy Story comes out. Next week is season 2, and we're gonna do Pixar. We're doing all 23 Pixar films from
Nice.
Toy Story to Soul with all new comedians. Week 1 is Toy Story 1 with Eagle Wit. Eagle Wit's a very funny guy. I'm sure you know that, right?
Yes, he's very cool. I like Eagle Wit.
Yeah, so that's going to be a great episode. So please subscribe, Goose's Disney Pod. And thank you so much for listening these past 58 weeks. And we did it. We went from 1938 to 2019.
Woo!
And this actually, I got to say, this is a very interesting comedy/Disney podcast. Because when this podcast started, September of 2019, the world was fine. The world was normal. And then
Yeah.
around Little Mermaid, everything started falling apart. And this kind of became a podcast about the end of stand-up comedy, the end of the entertainment industry, and reviewing all the Disney films that were ever made. So it's a very interesting, because comedians were coming on in the middle of the May or June being like, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know where my career is going to go. And I'll tell you where it's going to go. Our careers are all going to go nowhere. So there you go. Jess,
Yay! Let's go to the movies.
Let's go to the movies to catch COVID. Jess, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone for following me this first season. We'll talk to you next time.